perspective and all that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the 47th vRunoffs here on SMB. My name is Ron Mullins. Charles Beauchelle will be alongside me in the commentary booth in a couple of moments' time, but joining me at the moment, as he will be for the entire show, working comms in the cams at the moment, is Mr. Joshua Wilkie. Well, Josh, we're here for a lot of reasons, off the back of another fantastic year and fantastic season of Weekend Warriors action, and also to have a bit of a festive mood as we get closer and closer to Christmas. So we're here at Willow Springs to just have a lot of fun. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good position here, being able to look over all of the action going on here at Willow Springs. It still feels like one of the newer tracks added on to iRacing, even though it's been around for quite some time, and they initially tried to get this track onto iRacing back in, I believe it was either the late 2000s or maybe early 2010s, but they finally released this track not too long ago. And I think we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun. Of course, have the Formula Vs out there on the racetrack right now. Then later on, we'll have the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. Currently in the midst of qualifying with just about a minute and some change left to go. Jason Green is your provisional pole sitter as it stands at the current moment at 137.5. We don't really see too much of Jason nowadays in the Formula Vs. We usually just see him in the Spec Racer Fords, but he was always a very talented racer behind the wheel of the Vs. Challenged Tortello for a couple of championships in a row. I think he's going to be a tour of force here in this race coming up. And I think that's a very fair point that you raised there, Josh. As much as this track is a big drafter, I mean, hey, of the 9 turns and what is it, about 2.5 miles of this racetrack, probably about 2 of those miles are spent going flat out in the V's. So probably gonna see a lot of drafting, but when it comes to the heavy braking zones, you don't really have too many. I think turn 3, turn 1, probably the only spots where you can really go for an outrageous dive or ascent. But let's see what these racers are going to do in this race coming up here. 30 minutes in length, so just like the usual Formula V Weekend Warriors races, and about to have some fun to get the day up and rolling. But let's take a look at the starting grid to fully set the mood here with Christmas time for the 47th vRunoffs. That's going to be Jason Green starting from the pole position. Felix Samoa is your reigning, now 2-time Formula V Weekend Warriors champion, set to join him on the front row. It's going to be Michelle Lind starting in 3rd. Alongside her will be Andrew Love. Chris Montgomery will start this race in 5th, alongside Alan DeGassis in 6th. Alexander Gorson will start this race in P7. Tortello will start in 8th. Scott Russell is going to start this race in 9th, with Brad Cathcart completing her top 10.
Well, it looks like my mic, although you were hearing it, Ron, was not going out again. I think it should probably be going out now, so missed everything I said there in the beginning. With some pretty insightful stuff there, too. So
hang on, let me just budge in. You can defer blame to me and just say that I suffer from some sort of mental illness, which I definitely do, which is why I got into this line of work in the first place.
That's fair, that's fair. And also, you know, if I'm not, Ron can carry this on his own anyway. He doesn't need me around here. But anyway, 10th place, we do have Brad Cathcart. In 11th, we have Dan Sardo. In 12th, we have Kurt Nunez. We'll scroll forward here if we can. In 11th place, 13th, we have Joshua Justice. 14th, Dirk Braun. 15th, Jorg Mani. 16th, we have Guido Marzucci. In 17th, Arthur Latero. In 18th, we have Scott Brooks. 19th, Rob Wright. In 20th, Jason Grider.
And then looking through, we got series admin himself, Stevie Ray, starting this race in 21st, alongside Nick Tullo in 22nd. Kevin Adrian will start this race in 23rd. Paul Jackson rounding out row number 12. Only a few more starters left to go by in this field. We have Phil Berry, to ignore the driver starting in 26th. So Russ Lundberg will round out your field here, and already seeing a lot of people in the YouTube chat. And see Tam there as usual, Dan in the chat as well. I believe it's Mr. Ian Anderson, so a Formula Ford driver in his own right, along with, I believe that's Edgar Sancinelli in there in the YouTube chat with the Frito Sport account, and RGL Motorsports, which, if my memory serves me correctly, is Russ Lundberg. So hopefully all of you tuning into the show are going to have some fun, and we do have a bit of an interesting theme here, it being a Christmassy show. We're going to be keeping our eyes on some Christmas liveries. I don't think we're going to be giving away any prizes like we did last year, although I will double check myself there. But we'll just be keeping an eye on the Christmassy schemes, see what we have going on out there. And do want to also let you know that although this broadcast does not have a sponsor, we will let you know that coming close to the holiday season, if you'd like to give a Christmas gift to your sim racing pals, how about you buy Stevie Ray's book, Pixels to Podiums? You can get that on Amazon or wherever you get books. You can get it as an ebook or a paperback copy as well. And we'd like to thank Stevie, of course, for everything that he does. It's a little bit tricky to get this at because he's giving the pre-race meeting at the current moment, and considering one of the last times that I was loaded into an iRacing session, I had to do some race control work. I had to listen into the radio, so I did not turn that off before this, but I was able to get through it all perfectly fine. But Josh, this is going to be a fun day of racing, and what a way to kick it off with the V's.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a good way to kick it off with the V's. This is usually, when I do, whenever I have participated in these events, I usually end up crashing out. I don't do enough practice when it comes to the V runoff events, and I usually end up just kind of plugging out into the void a little bit and seeing what I can do. I'm wondering how many other drivers out there are doing the same thing during these that just don't have a whole lot of practice at Willow Springs for the week. They're more worried about their weekend warrior actual official races and so on the weekends, and that can happen every once in a while. You're going to want to get some practice around here. Not really super easy course, but yeah, always a good way to start it off with the V's for sure, and we'll see kind of who can keep it together here for sure.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a matter of survival more than anything else. If you can get through this race clean, you will be golden. This racetrack is a bit of a silent menace. 9 turns in all, 2.5 miles. Been a while since we saw the Weekend Warriors run here. I think one of the last times may have been back when a mentor of mine, Mr. Tim Cox, was calling these broadcasts with Charles back in the day. I think there's a Formula Ford clip that I remember distinctly of a driver barrel rolling, heading down the start-finish straightaway, which is neither here nor there. But let's get up and rolling for the 47th vRunoffs with a green flag at. The drivers are on their way. Jason Green still holding on to that race lead. Felix Samoa is slipping in tow in P2. Everybody else duking it out side by side and nearly 3 wide as they head their way downtown into turn number 1. Look at Michelle Lynn trying to get a move done on Felix Samoa. She won at this track in Formula V machinery back about a year ago. It was in the Ray Esports Club Racing League where she was able to get the W there. So keep an eye on her because she will probably be a force to be reckoned with throughout this race.
Yeah, I'd have to say so for sure. Again, a staple of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. So, we have some of the drivers there from the Formula Vs out there, and some aren't. Some are in the in the FFs and the SRFs every weekend. Oh, and we have an incident in the back here. I believe that's involving Guido Marzucci. Yeah, unfortunately here we have some cars caught up. That's going to be our first incident of the day.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Guido. Not the way that he wants to start the day off at all. Also, some meatball flags coming down for Artur Lorero and Dan Sadro. Jurg Mani has a meatball flag as well. He's already towed back to pit lane, so rather quick and unfortunate way for his race to end. Meanwhile, up at the front, Felix Samoes jumping his way up into the race lead. Chris Montgomery going to jump up into second as Jason Green finds himself now in third at the current moment. This top 3 breaking away as it is pure unbridled chaos in the back. Look at that. That is probably going to be a common sight throughout the day.
Yeah, I would say so. Again, this place really does promote kind of side-by-side racing, especially out of the last corner and down this front straight, and then sometimes into the next few corners afterwards as well. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of good decision-making and stuff around here to not end up facing backwards as we see the lead pack here kind of starting to break away a little bit, but still getting chased by this just massive group of Vs behind them. Some pretty good formation flying there from the front and from the mid pack here as well. You see Brad Cathcart holding the inside there, doing a pretty good job holding it. Alan DeGas is just behind him, probably the closest battle there right now. That being said, there's a lot of close battles in these 2 packs right now.
Yeah, we're running down the Wild West, and we have got a wild race out there on the circuit. Everybody's still side by side as they head their way off through the main bit of tight and twisties on this racetrack, the turn 3, 4, and 5 section. And then as you head your way out of here, down the hill through into 5 right now, then you exit out of Monroe Ridge of turn number 6. Pretty much from here all the way down to turn number 1, it is flat in all sorts of different race cars. So going to see the speeds be incredibly high, probably a high amount of laps here as well. I think the only reason why we wouldn't be able to get a 1-for-1 in terms of the laps is just down to the fact that these Formula Vs have the same amount of power that you can probably see out of a microwave that you'd buy at Insert Appliance Shop here. Still looking at the side-by-side battling going on up in the front, though. Chris Montgomery holding on to that top spot. Felix Mo's right in tow. Tortolo has got himself involved in this battling as well as they go 3 wide out of the final turn onto the start-finish straightaway to start their 3rd lap. And who's going to win out in this fight? This is hair-raising stuff. Who's going to back out first into turn number 1? I have a feeling that it may be Montgomery. He's stuck on the outside. He will back out of it. Felix Samos will not. Tortolo still holding dominance on that inside line through 1, stuck on the outside through 2. Oh, as I thought Montgomery was going to go for the dive there. This is getting insane. And what a time to bring in our esteemed colleague, Mr. Charles Bochelle. Charles, I apologize for not letting you know about this, the fact the broadcast was starting an hour earlier than we thought. But what a time to bring you in as we have Formula V's as close to 4 wide as you can get.
Hey, no problem at all. Glad to be here. Yeah, I love Willow Springs. I know we've talked about it already. Fantastic track. We should be running it like every other week. It's just great. So these are. I see already the racing has started. You're running 2 and 3 wide coming down the front stretch. I expect that to happen probably for the next, 26 minutes of this race.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to see just pure unbridled pandemonium, everybody leapfrogging in front of one another. There have been some leapfrog-heavy Formula V broadcasts that have been done here on Slow Motion Broadcasting over the past year and a half. This may be the most froggy race of them all, so let's see who's going to rip it and scare the other off the lily pad. It's still Felix Samos holding on to that top spot as we take a look at something that may have gone down with Jason Green and all of that side-by-side battling. I did not pay attention to the stuff that was going on directly behind. Oh, contact made with Jason and Michelle. Thankfully, they kept it going in a straight line, although any sort of wheel-to-wheel contact, they're lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty tight quarters down through some of these corners, as you see, still trying to go 3 wide up at the front of the field. And we're going to replay here and see Cathcart coming through. And now we're going to switch up to Jason Green as he makes the move up to the lead. He's going to take that over. Felix Lewis following on the inside. And, yeah, start to head up the hill again for another lap here as we head up toward the balcony.
And I will say, and this is honest, it's nice to be running around a racetrack with turn names where I won't feel like I embarrass myself if I try and pronounce them. That is a fantastic service that Willow Springs offers. Riding on board with Alexander Gorson, a standout star from the Spec Racer Ford ranks here on SMB and the Weekend Warriors, currently running 4th in the Formula Vs. I think this may be the first time that I've seen him. You know, actually, I'm thinking my mind back, which is usually a recipe for disaster. Speaking of, Felix Samos with a huge moment heading out to 5. He may lose out on a couple of spots as he went off the track, as I was trying to think. I think Alexander Gorson has maybe raced in the Formula Fords. I'm not sure if he's run in the Formula Vs, but I do have the memory of a goldfish, so you can take that with as many grains of salt as you like.
I mean, you know, good time to do it. You come into the runoffs, you know, you're going to run your preferred car, but why not run all 3 and just go ahead and out there and have a good time. It's just a bragging rights race, and it doesn't really matter anything for championship points. So get out there and enjoy it. And, you know, if you're not feeling comfortable, you can always kind of back out and kind of ride around and enjoy the racing up in front of you. You got the best seat in the house.
You know, I think between the Formula Vs and the Spec Racer Fords, the saying, nope, is probably going to be said a whole lot throughout today. I probably would have said it if I was in the midst of that hornet's nest heading down to turn number 1. That is just madness. That is 12 cars covered by nothing. And a reminder, folks, if you see the intervals, if you can see the gaps and they are in orange, that means it's below a half a second. You can see the numbers and you can see how close it is. This is just insanity. I think Felix Samos nearly got turned in front of the pack as he headed his way out of turn number 2. These drivers are, I can't even say playing with fire. They're basically playing with plastic explosives.
Yeah, you basically got 12 cars covered by about a second and a half on the track, and it's just, you know, they're doing a really good job of not making contact with each other and racing very closely. And it just goes to show, oh, as we see a spin, that's the 5 car, Michelle Lynn, going around, coming up the hill there, and gets it recovered, no contact. She's going to fall back into that second group.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Michelle. She was running strong in the early stages of this race, but with that drama, she will find herself getting closed up rather quickly by that pack right in tow. Dirk Braun, Jason Grider, Rob Wright, Kevin Adrian, Phil Berry, many others involved in that. Scott Brooks as well. So this is going to be another insane pack to keep our eyes on, as if we don't already have that going on out at the front of the field. I will say the spin for Michelle maybe broken it up a teeny tiny bit, as there's a 1 second gap that is formed between your top 6 and the drivers right behind. Meanwhile, the top 6 are all overlapped, heading down the start finish straight away into 1, as you do at Willow Springs.
Yeah, as you do at Willow Springs, as they work their way out of 1 down into 2 and 3. And yeah, that, with the battling going up front, I think that's going to allow that second group to make up some ground and probably get back up into that pack. So we'll have a nice 10-car pack or so up there, as we see Scott Russell's going to come up a bit too. And as we're running still 3 wide coming through 2 there, I just see that just how close the racing is, even in the second pack of cars there.
I like how we just briefly took a look at Scott Russell, who, compared to everything else going on, he's going on a Sunday cruise. That's pretty much what we've got. Everybody else just screaming at the top of their lungs. Meanwhile, Scott Russell just tiptoeing through the tulips, which you can't really do because it is Willow Springs, and they do the scans of racetracks in the middle of summer, and all the grass on either side of the racetrack is just dirt.
Yeah, Scott's got a chance. Once again, you saw that pack battling up front. They keep that up, and Scott only really needs to make up a second or so. He gets to pull back into that slipstream from that big group, and probably can make that up. We see another gap opening up there now between Tello and Nunez. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but you've got a 5-car group up front, another 5 cars in that second pack, and then Scott Russell trying to work his way back up. He's losing a little bit of time now as the cars have stopped their fighting, and we'll see if he can make it back up. So, we could end up having, as we see, still just all over the top of each other coming up. Oh, no, that's Montgomery. I think that was Tullo there. I think Montgomery looked like, from my angle, just kind of floated out and made wheel-to-wheel contact.
It was pretty much an inevitability, wasn't it? With how hard everybody was battling, something was going to break sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, it's been Chris Montgomery that gets shown the door in that. Let's take a look at this replay to see what happened. Tortello had a say in all of that, as look, that was insane. 3 wide racing. I can't even say it's wild, because we've already seen a lot of that thus far here. And there it was, sandwiching. Tullo didn't have too much more that he could have done. Chris Montgomery, certainly nothing that he could have done. I think that was just drivers merging into one part of the racetrack, and as much as iRacing can have some physics defining moments at some point in time, only in the pits can cars merge within one another.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Tor did everything he could do. He's basically on the outside white line and not really able to go anywhere else. So just unfortunate, as the car in front of Montgomery to the inside kind of pushed him out a little bit, and he was just trying to evade and find a line and just ran out of room.
Yeah, I feel like something else is going to break here soon, because these racers, I mean, I always say this, and that's usually when the racing is perfectly clean and everybody makes it all the way through to the end without any major incidents. They can't go 3 wide as often as they are and not have the racing gods frown upon them and send them into the fence. It's just that is an inevitability over anything else. So who knows, maybe I'm just calling my bluff, and we'll see these racers make it clean all the way through to the end. But I have a hunch.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That's probably a good hunch. It's as you see tight racing in these packs, and it's just inevitable that there's going to be probably some more contact between these cars, especially when we get the late stages of the race. We get the last couple of laps, and everybody's fighting for position. There's probably going to be some contact happening, but we'll see as we see that second group now starting to close the gap up. So within a second now, or just at that 1 second mark for Nunez to the back of Jason Green in 4th. So hopefully we'll see if we can get a merger here of these two groups, and we'll be back up to that 9-car pack up front. Scott Russell is closing the gap with all the battling going up here in this front group. He is actually knocked off about 2 or 3 tenths, so not out of it yet. But he needs these guys up front to really start doing some side-by-side racing.
As we continue to see the side-by-side racing going on out there on the racetrack, I don't think there has been probably about 15 seconds in this race where everybody has been single file. I don't think we've seen that. I don't even think we've seen 10 seconds where everybody's been single file. Do want to give some love to Phil Berry, usual spec racer Ford driver running the Cookie Monster Motorsport car out here on the track. I'll already give some props to that since this is a Christmas show, even though Christmas isn't until another 11 days from now. I still appreciate that, because I mean, this is the time of year for cookies, so I think that's we gotta give the love to the Cookie Monster at this point of the year. But we got some great paint schemes out there on the racetrack. I'll be keeping tabs on that throughout the day. Rob Wright with a meatball flag, because I also want to give some love to Brian Szynski, who picked up on the Tiny Tim reference. Tiny Tim was always a strong cast member on Ronan Martin's Laugh-In, and if anyone ever listens to the broadcast that I do and think that I'm a little bit out there, tune into an episode of Rona Martin's Laugh-In. You will figure out what people on LSD find hilarious.
Absolutely right. As we see that spin there, all by himself, just loses it, rolls it off the track, and looks like everything's continuing on. As we see that now we do have that 9-car group up front. We have got the merger happened. Felix Moyes trying to stretch out a little bit of a gap there, only 2 tenths. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think these cars are going to pretty much stay sandwiched together until we get another contact or spin as they work their way through 8 and 9. This big long sweeper. 9 is going to come into play when we get toward the end of this race. That little divot on the inside there of the apex, it just ends up catching somebody out and causing a little bit of carnage there. Just past that, you see the little compression as they work their way through. Maybe not for the V's, but I've seen it a lot in the spec racers. We'll see later on where they just really catch that divot, and they're basically pushed all the way across the track. But not the case thus far, as we were about halfway through the race. We're at the 15-minute mark. We've got that 9-car pack up front. Scott Russell is sitting there in 10th by himself. Chris Montgomery in 11th, Kevin Adrian in 12th, and then Kevin's got Michelle Lynn, Jason Grider, and Phil Berry for company. So we're starting to see a couple of gaps now as cars are getting kind of peeled off. We've got Dirk Braun now with a black flag. So I'm wondering if that's incident points that may have occurred early in this race that I might not have seen.
Yeah, now that has me wondering what the incident point limit is here. So usual 13x for the limit, and then 18x will be the DQ limit for these drivers. So very easy to pick that up in one of these races, which is always so hectic. Seeing Stevie out there with a very nice looking Christmassy scheme with the Christmas lights there. Ooh. And the reefs on the top, and that right there is an off-track excursion. That's a problem with this racetrack. It is old school in the sense that if you go off the track, you're probably going to slam into a hill.
Yeah, for sure. This is the one thing, the unique nature of Willow Springs that I really like, and it catches drivers out the first time they come here, is those curbs on the outside. They're basically like stone pavers. It's just basically a 4-inch rise, but it's a 4-inch rise on the inside, on the track side, but it seems like it drops off about a foot on the outside. So if you ever jump that curb, it's easy to jump it. It's very difficult to get the car back on track safely. We haven't seen that, or at least I haven't seen that yet, but that might have been the reason Stevie had that, or he just kind of looked like maybe it was a compression point that just kind of caught him out a little bit. He was really close on the inside of the apex of that corner and just pushed him out wide.
Yeah, the weight transfer on these Formula Vs is always a little bit sour, so I wonder if that played a role in it, either a small role or a big role as he headed his way off through turn number 3. Brought up a good point, though, talking about the curbs, and we'll probably bring that up a lot in reference to the Formula Fords coming up. The curbs here are, I think the right term, the right broadcasting term would be the curbs are rather severe. I think I remember one time running around this track. I can't remember whether it was in iRacing or Project Cars 2, but I hit the curb so hard. I can't remember. I think it was off through that section of the racetrack, either turns 3 or turns 4. I hit the curb so hard that it actually uncalibrated my steering wheel.
Wow, that's pretty bad. But you can see it. You get a good view here And you've got this kind of the graded edge on the inside on the track side, but then it's just a drop off on the backside. And once again, that's just very difficult once you get clear and you're over that curb. It's very difficult to get the car rejoined without losing traction on that side of the car. And then hopefully the car, when it grabs, it doesn't spin you sideways. This has always been very difficult to kind of rejoin on this track, more so than getting off. As you see, there are no curbs there. As we see Alexander Gorson coming into the pit, that's a bit odd.
Oh, I wonder if this is a matter of fuel potentially. Maybe only put fuel enough gas in for qualifying, but even then, that's.
It's possible. I mean, that's the easiest excuse I can come up with that makes sense, because obviously no black flag, no slowdowns or anything like that. He just came into the pit, so maybe just left his quality fuel in. Did not have enough to make it to the end of the race. Obviously, no pit stops are necessary. It's only a 30-minute race. I think everybody has enough fuel. Should they put the race fuel in to finish without stopping? So. That once again, that's the Occam's razor answer to that question, I think.
See, I'm gonna maybe throw out a potentially odd suggestion of what that could be. Gorson, a driver that we usually see running the Spec Racer Fords and the V's, as that's a spin for Felix Samoa, as that's heading down the hill out of 4 into 5, and he's got to loop it around. So Felix Samoa's now going to drop down potentially just barely inside the top 10, thankfully for him. He does have a bit of a cushion to the drivers right behind, but still not an ideal moment at all. And just simply losing control, and even think the curb played a factor in that either. He just flat out lost it. But now,
that's the same spot that Stevie spun. So I'm wondering if there's like I said, like a little compression on the inside of that curb there that just kind of catches drivers out. Maybe on that rebound, it just wants to just lose traction in the rear as you're trying to round that corner. So that's very interesting that we've had 2 drivers in that same spot just lose the car.
Did Stevie lose it in that section? I thought he lost it heading down to turn number 3. But
I think it was that section. It could be wrong. I thought it was. I thought it was in that same area.
I will say, and this is honest, this racetrack, I think it's personally very fun, but I would be lying if I said it was a Formula One style track built nowadays, in the sense where it's got a bunch of memorable landmarks. This track does feel kind of like Groundhog Day in the sense where it feels like it's repeating itself, but we take the wins when we can have them. The most notable monuments that you really have around this racetrack are some corner markers, pit lane, and some honey buckets on the inside. Looking at side-by-side battling with Tortolo and Jason Green, been a little while since we saw that in the V's, as we see Andrew Love right behind being brought up in the YouTube chat. Andrew running a new paint scheme, usually runs the sort of orangish yellow, the mac and cheese yellow, I think would be the correct technical term for that color, but now we swapped it out for a nice little green. I will say, this is honest, if your mac and cheese looks that color of green, chances are you probably replace your mac and cheese powder with a little bit of uranium.
It may be so. Yeah, that is not the standard color. I would have to agree with that. Yeah, but still hard battling up here at the front. Andrew running in 3rd, now into 2nd, as we had a car that was Jason Green running wide through 8 and 9, and just trying to maintain the speed. I'll give him a good run down the straightaway, but he's obviously going to lose a little bit of time here working his way through those corners. You see the turn 9 divot there as Andrew takes that. And you see Jason keeping his momentum up on that outside. He's starting to gain back, but he lost quite a bit, lost several car lengths through that corner to Andrew.
Yeah, so continuing to follow this action, I'll try and get this point out as brief as I can, and I think Dan Szynski may have been reading my mind in the YouTube chat. The pit stop that we saw from Alexander Gorson, I think that could have maybe been down to the fact that he's usually a racer in the FF and the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, where you do have to stop in that series. The Formula Vs are the only Weekend Warriors League where you don't have to come down pit lane. Now, you can if you want to, but it's not going to do you well in terms of the results. So I think maybe that have played a factor potentially. We'll have to wait for further confirmation of that, but I think that could be a very firm theory indeed.
Yeah, I think you may be correct there. That's that's as always, again, good as answer as any that we could come up with here on the air, since we are not really in communication with the drivers. So we'll see if he can make up any time. Obviously, he lost probably 25-30 seconds there in the pit lane to take on fuel. So he's got some work to do running down in 16th. He's got a 4.5 second gap up to Stevie Ray. So it's time to turn on the speed a little bit there as he's going and see if he can pick up a few spots before the end of the race with only about 7.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, two drivers with two new paint schemes running up towards the front. Tortello refreshed his paint scheme a little while ago. Andrew Love has that brand new Christmassy look. And Josh Justice with, I gotta say, a very nice looking car. The dark blue, the light blue, and a little bit of red thrown in the midst of that. Usually just runs a blue and black, but I like that car. I like it a lot. 3 wide racing down into 1. Alan DeGassis trying to jump his way up into the top spot. Nearly runs Andrew Love off into the inside curb, but they make it through the turn clean, and it is now Alan DeGassis holding on to that top spot. Now, it being the Runoffs, we usually don't keep tabs on the classes, but we'll note that the Masters seem to really enjoy this combination.
Yeah, absolutely. Is like they're having a good time out there. Yeah, the drivers are making it difficult. We've seen Josh Justice run that what I call petty blue number 99 car in basically every series he runs, and then also, hey, got a new livery, and it's different. So it's like, okay, now we got to find the 99 car again. But yeah, nice looking, little blue, little purple, little red on the back. That's quite nice. That looks very nice. So we'll keep an eye out now that we know who he is. Obviously, Josh, great spec racer driver, also runs it in real life and is just doing a really good job here in the V's. Obviously, I don't know who runs the V's because I don't really cover the V's. So I watch a race here and there. But obviously there's names out here that run all series. So those are the guys that I know and can usually pick out pretty easily.
Yeah, we do have some V stalwarts that don't usually run in the other series, kind of similar to what we have in the FF and the SRF. You certainly have the Weekend Warriors stable of drivers that run in all 3 of the divisions, or try to at the very least. But you do have some that just pick one or the other, maybe 2 instead of all 3. But it gives them a little bit of spice of life with the Weekend Warriors. You have the same sort of stable, consistent names, but some drivers that don't usually cross over. Take Felix Simoes as a good example, even though things haven't gone too fantastically for him here in this race. He started off his time running in Formula V's. It was actually in the Runoffs back in, I believe it was the 45th Runoffs. I think it was the running of, actually no, it was the 44th back in March, if my memory serves me correctly. I was doing that broadcast with Mike Braun. It was running at Monza on the short configuration in the rain when Felix showed up in a Formula V for the first time, really enjoyed it, and decided to join the series, and it worked out well for him as Alan DeGassis with a huge sideways moment coming out of turn number 4. That downhill shoot in these Formula Vs seems to maybe be the sketchiest part of the racetrack.
Yeah, it does indeed. It looks like it's people are struggling just a little bit, and it's there's this is kind of a tale of 2 tracks. You've got the vast majority of this track is just wide open as hard as you can push the car, light braking or trail braking, or even just lifting through a corner. But then you get up that hill up to the balcony and then back down is pretty treacherous. You have to be pretty spot on with your lines in order to navigate it properly, and there's some difficult braking. I still sometimes just completely bungle coming off the balcony, just trying to get the car through, and just missing braking points and throttle points and corner apexes. And so it is not an easy track to drive, especially through that section. But it's one of my favorites. It's just really fun. You've got the opportunity to make mistakes and without going off and sending yourself into low Earth orbit or yeeting yourself back to the pits because you've jumped a barrier. You can make mistakes and run off in the dirt for a bit, bring the car back on, and continue to race.
Yeah, that is one benefit with this racetrack. The barriers, for the most part, there are some that are a bit closer, but the barriers around the vast majority of this racetrack are about 50 miles away, and considering a trip like that in a Formula V takes you about 45 seconds, you have a lot of time to question that decision of ending up in the fence. So that does lead to a lot of racers staying in it to win it. However, you can have some small little off-track excursions that can develop into big ones. One thing that you do notice as a bit of a common theme on many old school American road courses, take Lime Rock and VIR are some good examples of tracks that are kind of designed for highway safety standards, whereby if you go off the track, it just kind of falls away from you, so it takes you away from the track, which can make it very difficult to try and rejoin, doubly so in Formula Vs, which compared to the other cars on iRacing, gosh, these tires are basically bicycle wheels.
Yeah, exactly right. Ooh, as we see, oh, there we go. That was Love, and that was the curb. You saw what happened. He tried to come back across, hit the curb, came back across. The car went to a four-wheel slide, managed to catch it. Great job by Andrew there to catch that car, and great job by the guys behind to avoid him as he was sliding himself across the track. That was great driving all around.
Yeah, I like the way that Tam put it in the YouTube chat. Precision Pack Racing. That's pretty much what we've got going on. And that also sounds like a pretty cool team name as well. But that's pretty much what we've got going on out there on the racetrack. Everybody is running to the absolute limits of control, the limit of what they can do in a pack of Formula Vs. Because let's face it, I talked about the power disadvantage, for lack of a better term, that these cars have. They also don't have the dartiest steering in the world. You can have these cars turn on a dime, and they certainly turn a lot quicker than NASCAR stock cars, but it's still not the best handler in the world, no downforce really. So if you find yourself in a bit of trouble, you're going to have to really run that steering wheel to both ends to try and find a way to avoid any sort of drama.
Yeah, absolutely is very much a mechanical grip car. No aero to speak of, so you're relying on those skinny tires to do a lot of work, to lay throttle down and to brake and corner, and doing that all trying to keep the car pointed toward the racetrack. So great job by all these guys out there as we're on board with Cathcart running in fourth, coming around turn 9, and this is the final lap, I believe. So we're coming down to the white flag.
Yeah, the white flag is out. One more lap of racing action, and let's ring in that final lap with side-by-side action up in the front. Never mind, 3 wide action as Alan Degas is in the middle. Josh Justice on the outside, and Tortello on the inside. He's going to get followed there. Holy cow, look at the move and contact made. Huge hits for all 3. Brad Cathcart going to vault over and lawn dart his way into the dirt. Tumbles to a stop, knocking over some cones in the process. It felt like something was going to break, and break it did. It's now Tortello, Jason Green, and Andrew Love as a breakaway at the front of the field. Kirk Nunez within striking distance as well. Here comes Jason Green down the inside into turn number 3. That could be a gutsy way to jump up into that top spot. We saw these two contend for championships about a year ago here in the Formula Vs. Now in the runoffs with some green-looking race cars. It's a Green up in the front, and he looks to try and grab that checkered in just a couple of moments' time as they head their way down the hill through turn number 5 for the last time in this race. Everybody in this front pack fight keeps it smooth, but as much as Jason Green may be holding on to that race lead, I don't think that's the spot to be in. Tortello is going to get a mighty draft. Andrew Love is going to get a mightier draft, and keeping on Kirk Nunez in case any sort of drama breaks out. They fan out 3 wide, heading down the back straightaway in through the sweeper. It's pretty much a never-ending turn until that start-finish straightaway. Kirk Nunez trying to reel him in. Tortello holding on to that top spot. Himself and Andrew Love got chasing each other's tail down the inside. Jason Green maybe got to try and save up a run. Heading out of the final turn, slingshot engaged. Will he be able to close it up? Heading to the line here in the first race of the day. Tullo, Love, side by side. Jason Green gonna steal it there at the end as they make contact. Jason Green wins it. Nunez grabs second. Tullo and Love complete your top 4. What a way to get the day up and rolling. Nunez and Tullo tied.
Yeah,
I just realized that.
Jason Green, great job. The guys that made that move coming down into 8 just went early. They need to be a little more patient. They went early, got the run started, got the move made before they got through 8, and then Jason just said, all right, I'll hang it around the outside, I'll build momentum, and then he just turns into that middle lane and gets a monster run down the straightaway. The contact between Nunez and Tullo probably did not help them, as it probably cost them a little bit of speed. We see another side-by-side coming down here into the finish with that Stevie Ray and Dan Sadro and Alexander Gorson as well. So great run as we still have cars finishing, but a great run by Jason Green to just, oh no! That was Lorero and Jorg Monty as they were coming through 9. I think maybe he caught the curb on the inside or that compression on the inside, but definitely Lorero went around and just took him and Monty. Luckily, no spots lost. I think they were able to finish in their own positions. So great job. But we'll get this run again here as we see Jason Green looking down and get the run. It moves all the way over to the far right. You see the contact between Tolo and I believe Love, and then you see Nunez coming down to the inside there, and side by side. Look at that. There you go. Just by the tip of the nose, there is Nunez just nipping Tolo there at the checker flag. That's a great run and a nice 4-wide finish there to start us off for today.
Yeah, and I will say, sometimes our information that we get on our wonderful graphics can be a little bit askew. So I will let you know that according to how iRacing judged it, it was a vast yawning chasm of 1/100th of a second at the end between Nunez and Tolo, with Nunez getting the better of him. Tolo finishing in second with Andrew Love running extra top 4. And Kevin Adrian ballparked it before he ended up in the grandstand. Two bad options there if you vault over that part of the racetrack. You're either going to end up whacking a honey bucket or running into a crowd of people.
Yeah, but good air, though. I'll have to agree. That was very nicely done. And we got another one there. Nice.
His
Not
spine
quite
just
enough
got
speed.
flattened to the size of a pancake.
Not quite enough speed to clear the track, but still well done by Kevin Adrian there to launch that car for us.
Oh, that was absolutely glorious, as I think we may have the opportunity to have a chat with our P2 finisher here in this race. You can tell it was a close finish based off the fact that less than a 10th seemed like a huge gap at the end of this race. But let's drag in Kurt Nunez to have a little chat before we move off into that Formula Ford race coming up here in the not too far off future. Kurt now joining us here in the booth. Kurt, welcome in. P2 for you here in the V's. How was it out there?
Oh my God. It's going 3 wide into turn 1 was almost more than my 70-year-old mind could take.
I'm going to ask you about the race and how insane it was, and also that finish, because even coming to take the checkered flag, it just looked like the aggression was getting ramped up and ramped up and ramped up.
Yeah, so once that lead group, the lead draft, gapped the group behind us, I just logged in behind them and just decided I'm not going to keep fighting this and wait for that last lap. And that draft was so intense that I just tucked in, got the bottom line, and moved up a few spots.
Yeah, it works out very, very well for you. P2 in this race. A pretty insane finish coming to take the checkered flag as well. According to our graphics, you and Tour tied, even though it was about 100th between you two, which, yeah, that is a huge gap at the end. Yeah, a pretty darn good combo here, at least from our perspective in the booth. How did you enjoy racing the V's here at Willow Springs?
It was really fun. At first, when I started practicing it, I didn't like it. It just, was flat out all the time. So I started racing with the AI just to get the gist of how to draft these cars, and I just didn't know how this was going to turn out until it did. But Jesus, 2 wide up the hill, and on that uphill downturn, it was just crazy. I don't know how I lasted through this thing.
I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised that we had a pack at the end. I was fully expecting everybody just to fan out and end up upside down, which some did, but you did not, and you walk away with a P2. Kurt, are we going to see you out there on the racetrack for any of the other races today, or is that it for you?
Oh, for sure, I'm going to do the SRF, see how we do there.
Yeah, that's going to be super, super fun. The third and final race of the day. Kurt, we'll let you get some rest after a nerve-wracking opening race of the day. But thank you for joining us here in the booth, and congratulations on the second place run.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Steve for hosting these things. There's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you as well for joining us. That right there was Kurt Nunez, our P2 finisher. You can tell my race spot mind shifted there because I didn't even ask the thanks or shout outs question. And yes, that is something that they say that we should not be asking over there, even though I do.
What?
Yeah, it was. I think it was only on one show that they said I shouldn't do that because it's unprofessional. Me making fart jokes on the air is unprofessional. People still enjoy it though. But we have got some good racing to look forward to. What a day to get! What a way to start off the day.
Yeah, great race to start the day, and it's gonna get a little bit faster as we go. We're gonna throw the Formula Fords out there, and we're gonna watch them. Obviously, not as much draft with these cars that you have to deal with, but there's still going to be a lot of side-by-side racing. I'm going to have to install my seatbelt, I think, for these next 2 races in my office chair. So we're going to have to get this thing ready to go here pretty soon.
Yeah, buckle up, everybody. It is going to be a wild day here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for the 47th Weekend Warriors Virtual Runoffs. We'll be back in a couple of moments with a Formula Fords. Hope you enjoyed those Formula Vs because we have still got 2 awesome races to look forward to after this.
Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting's coverage of the 47th Weekend Warriors Virtual Runoffs here today. It's Christmas special. We're here at Willow Springs. Had a fantastic Formula V race to get the day up and rolling, but now with the slightly faster, slightly bigger, and much more terrifying bigger brother that is the Formula Ford. These cars are probably the most challenging in this sim, but they can put on some absolutely amazing racing, so I'm looking forward to seeing what this race may have in store.
Yeah, once again, this is the bigger version of the V. More power, more speed, probably a little better handling, but still all mechanical grip. No real aero advantage to these cars. So you're depending on the slightly larger bicycle tires of the Formula Fords here to navigate this course. It's going to be fun. Once again, not as much of a draft that you're going to see from these cars, but because they're all running, pretty similar pace, still going to have some pretty tight packs. And as long as these cars can keep it within a half second or to a second, the packs will stay together pretty well here at the beginning. And then we'll see what happens from there. So it's, once again, you get the natural breaks from somebody having a moment, a slide or a spin or maybe some car contact. But otherwise, I think it's going to be, once again, a really good race. Curbs obviously are going to play a role in this. There's no real advantage to these cars. So if you jump the curb, you're going to play heck to get back over onto the track, and you see good shots of that there as we're looking on board. And it's just it's a challenge. So everybody's here for that challenge, and we're going to have some fun. We got a couple heavy hitters that are back here for today's race.
Yeah, we've got some very good drivers in this field. Looking through, of course, Josh Justice, Dirk Braun, Kevin Adrian, Stevie Ray, Chris Montgomery, all the drivers that you see on the bottom of the screen right now. They were there on track for the Formula Vs. We have some drivers that we may not have seen in quite some time. Chris Verstelen, I believe, is the driver of the number 1 car out there on the racetrack. I don't believe I've seen that name before. I have seen Arrow Gnome. He was out there on the racetrack towards the end of the season for the FFs. Looking through as well, Phil Berry was out there a little bit earlier on. Michael McConnell returning to the Weekend Warriors. Been a little while since I think we saw him out there on the racetrack. Yep. Nice to see him running out there on the circuit here tonight. And Michael Nelson also running out there. Lots of other names that I'm sure we will be touching on throughout this section of the broadcast. But really looking forward to what is going to be another great race. The Formula Fords have actually run here in the past in the Weekend Warriors. And Charles, if my memory serves me correctly, I think you may have gotten the opportunity to cover the last time the Weekend Warriors were running here way back in the day with Tim Cox on the call for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim and I have done several races here with both the Formula Fords and the Spec Racers. And once again, they put on a great show. You're going to see some really close wheel-to-wheel racing. As usual, this is not going to be any different than any other week that you might have seen. Most of these guys have been on the track. And, a lot of our drivers have been here. They're like furniture at this point. I mean, they've been here forever. And it's just so they've been here. They've raced this track. And it should put on, like I said, a good show. And once again, we'll have to watch the cars, just a little, little touches here and there, maybe some off tracks and rejoins. And we'll see if that little spin that we saw a couple of times in the Formula V as we were working our way up the hill, if that's going to come into play here as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we're on board here. And I think that is, who is that? That Verstegen. Okay, it's a Dutch name. We're going to use the word Chris. Chris is working his way up the hill here. Lovely paint. It's very much a old World War II fighter jet paint. So always love to see those old vintage paints like that. Nice creativity there as we're riding around with the 78 car, which is Arrow Gnome. And Arrow, God, I've seen him race. I think he was racing a lot. He was a weekly racer here when I first started doing the broadcast about 3 years ago. So it's good to see him back there. And as you can see, he's pretty quick in this car as well, setting the pole time of a 124.287 to lead us off here at the beginning of qualifying.
Yeah, even in his return not too terribly long ago, I think it was in week 10 at the very earliest that he returned both to iRacing and to Weekend Warriors Formula Ford competition, hit the ground running, and immediately started to run quick. I think I got an opportunity to cover Arrow. It was maybe, I think, 1 or 2 times, because the first ever time that I got the opportunity to cover a Weekend Warriors race was the start of season 2 of 2023. I think it was my 3rd broadcast ever. I had no idea what in the world I was doing, which that is under the assumption that I know what I'm doing now, but that's neither here nor there. So that was actually the same day that the first ever Formula Ford Weekend Warriors race happened. Megan Overstreet was able to grab the win there. It wasn't broadcasted at that point in time because the FF, I think, had just come out maybe a few seasons ago or just leading into that season. But a little bit later on that year, I got the opportunity to cover my first FF race with, it was a different Thompson at the time. It was this gentleman, Andy Thompson, who was a great guy. Got the opportunity to work with him on several occasions over on the other place. And he was he was a cool guy, and him and I were covering. It was the FFs running at Belle Isle at some point during, I can't remember if it was season 3 or season 4 of 2023, but good times before I even started covering the Ray Esports series back when that was still running on Tuesday night. So that was well early on as my broadcasting career, back before I went down this rabbit hole that I've now officially gone down.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you see, Arrow has bettered his time to a 1:23.94. And you can see, look at that. I mean, it's all orange all the way down, which means that every car is within a half second of the car in front of them. So that's going to put us in a pretty good spot for some nice pack racing once again, as we're about halfway through qualifying here and on board with Michael McConnell, taking that wide line coming down the hill, is able to get it gathered up and keep the momentum going. Once again, we'll be working our way down here as we get into 8 and 9. Once again, I'll kind of mention that as we get a little bit faster, that little divot on the inside of turn 9 becomes a little bit more of a problem for these cars as they're working their way through this field or working their way through, around the track. So you'll start seeing a little more issues as we pick up the pace here with these cars to get their way around 9 without causing any issues. And yeah, it's just it was going to be one of those. But I think we're in a good place here to have some really quick racing and some more pack racing like we saw in the Formula V's.
Yeah, and seeing some good times still being set with Jason Green jumping his way up into second to join Aero Gnome on that front row. Jörg Mani now going to jump in front of him in the 925 car. So times still being set out there on the racetrack. I think the word to describe the way the Formula Ford car drives is scary. It's scary at many points in time, and this track is one that usually tests the fear of drivers both in sim and in real life. So this is going to be a slightly unnerving day behind the wheel for all of these racers, whether they run in all 3 events, just one, or if they're going to run the gambit, I'm sure they're going to have 3 different levels of fear throughout. This, I would say, is the only race where the fear is mainly just going to come from the challenge of the racetrack and the race car, not just the draft.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. As this is a bit of a handful to drive. As you see, Arrow there just kind of sliding his way around. It's almost a half slide as he's working his way through 8 and 9. As you see them, and they're basically flat out. Once they come off the hill, you get past a couple of those corners on the downhill. It's pretty much flat all the way back around here until turn 1. Before you have to actually touch the brake pedal or maybe at least lift, if nothing else. So it is going to be one of those challenges to try and keep that car underneath you as you're really pushing the envelope, trying to extract as much pace out of the car and still managing to keep the tires gripping the track properly.
And a little bit interesting to see the track be slightly darker at the moment. I think there is a cloud that is covering the sun at the present moment. So to cool off the track somewhat. I'm surprised I haven't mentioned this at this as take a look at night. That is a good looking paint scheme from Antonio. I can see the sort of like brushed like steel kind of like silvery look. I really like that car. That's quite nice. It's all the shininess of chrome without the reflection that makes our graphics cards die.
yeah, you got that very nice raw sheet metal look to it. Did see some mouth on the front there, so probably another one of those fighter jet paint schemes that are very popular with these cars. It's either that or a banana or a cigar. So I mean, that's pretty much it as far as creativity for some of the people who race this car. But yeah, it looks really nice. We've got the P51 versus the F4. So we'll see how we end up with this during the course of the race. Which fighter is going to win the race today?
It's a little bit fascinating. This may be an odd thing to say. Whenever I think of this part of California, I think of fighter jets, and that's probably
Yeah.
down to the fact that when Top Gear went here way back in the day, I think it was Series 18 of Top Gear when I think Richard was driving driving a Dodge Viper. Jeremy was driving the Lexus LFA, and James was behind the wheel of an Aston Martin. They were being chased around this track by fighter jets, and they were like mock shooting at them, and they had like laser diodes on it. It was really cool. Whenever I think of this track, I think of fighter jets, which it feels vaguely fitting because I feel like this track has such wide turns. Forget 3, 4, and 5. And 1 to a certain extent. Some of these turns are so sweeping that I feel like you could actually follow the path of the track in a fighter jet. You'd probably have your skull cave in from the G-force, but I think you could still do it.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking at a map to see exactly where Willow Springs was, and it's not that far from Vegas by jet anyway, which is Nellis Air Force Base, which is just it's the home, it's the West Coast home of the Thunderbirds. So yeah, it makes sense that there's probably a nice contingent of fighters out there on that side of the country. Lots of open area, so if something happens, you can throw the plane in the ditch and parachute out and live to fight another day.
Yeah, it's okay to crash a fighter jet in the desert. Cactuses don't have a soul. We'll take a look at the starting grid now here for the second race of the day. It's going to be Aero Gnome starting from the pole position. Jason Greed set to join him on the front row. Felix Samoas will start this race in third, and next to him will be York Monty. It's going to be Michael McConnell starting in fifth. Next to him will be Chris Montgomery. Chris Murakami will start this race in seventh with Andrew Love alongside in eighth. Chris, in the number 1 car, will start this race in 9th with Alan DeGassis completing your top 10.
Yeah, Antonio Reese starts in P11, Arturo Lorero starting in P12. As we scroll the screen, I think it's Alexander Gorston that's going to be in P13. Dan Sadro starts in 14th, Josh Justice in 15th, 16th is Tortolo, Kevin Adrian in 17th, Stevie Ray starting at 18th, Phil Berry starting in 19th, Michelle Lynn rounding out your top 20, Guido Marzuki starting in P21, Ian Anderson, P22, Dan Witzak at 23rd. Pierre Robitaille should be playing hockey, not driving a race car, in 24th. Brad Cathcart starting in 25th. Michael G. Nelson starting in 26th. Dirk Braun, 27th. Jason Grider starting in 28th. Paul Jackson in 29th. Nick Tolo starting in P30. And Russell Lundberg starting on 31st and not so qualifying time. I'm not sure if he's in the server or not. So it's going to be 31 cars classified, and we'll see how many we get starting the race.
Off the back of that hockey reference, I will make a hockey reference myself, and you can take this with a grain of salt just because I don't know much about any sports outside of racing, race cars, and anything to do with motorsports. But I was tuning into the Flyers game last night against, I think it's the Carolina Hurricanes, I think is the other name of the team. I know it was the Hurricanes. I can't remember exactly what region of the country they said they're from. But for the first time this season, the Flyers lost in a shootout, and they had to go to extra shootouts. It was the fourth one, and they lost it. I was tired out of my skull because I'd been on the air for about 6 hours that morning. And I was like, you know what? I want to stay up, watch this game, have some fun. I had a little TV dinner chicken parm, one of those Rouse frozen ones, very tasty, mind you. And I was like, okay, let's see if they can continue on their streak of winning it out in shootouts. And they lost on the fourth. So do forgive me as I smash my hand onto my desk real quick. Alrighty, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I apologize to Josh, who probably just got his ears blown at listening to me hike up my microphone there for a couple of moments. I think we should be back to normal volumes. Let me check 1, 2. Alrighty, See, I don't usually make too many sports references because I make myself out to sound like an idiot enough when I talk about the stuff I know about.
Yeah, I understand. I'm a sports guy, but it's just the name Robitaille. I think Luc Robitaille was a pretty famous hockeyer way back in the day, and that just kind of stuck in my head. So when I saw Pierre, it's like, hey, and he's Canadian. So on top of that, so he should be on the ice somewhere instead of driving a race car in the middle of the desert. Either way, we're going to have some fun, though, as we're working our way through our pace lap here, as they're working up toward the balcony. You can see the cars getting the tires warmed up as best they can. Obviously, the first lap, pretty critical. Want to get those tires and brakes up to temp as quick as you can. Be careful until then, but I think we're on board here for 30 minutes of really good racing.
Yeah, I think it was going to be a heck of a lot of fun off the back of that Formula V race, which was just about as draft heavy as you can imagine a motorsports event could be on a regular racetrack. I think this Formula Ford race, as we said, maybe going to be a bit more nerve-wracking for these drivers just trying to keep it on the road, but I think it's going to be a bit more level-headed. It is a 40-minute long race. We'll have to see these racers make a trip down pit lane, although it should be noted that a regular just drive-through would count as a trip into the pits. You don't actually have to stop in the box, from what I have heard. Before we grab the green, though, want to once again shout out Pixels of Podium, Stevie Ray's book. You can get that as a nice little Christmas gift. Also, TW3 Paints for supplying Mr. Wilkie with the amazing paint schemes that he usually runs out there on the racetrack for your regular Weekend Warriors race. And don't worry, folks, you'll be able to catch Season 1 of 2026 of the Formula Ford, Formula V, and Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors coming up next Saturday and Sunday here only on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on it. But right now, we have got some action that is must-see television. Let's get up and rolling for the second race of the day with the green flag out. The drivers are on their way, and that was not a great jump from Jason Green as he's side by side with Felix Samoas in the run downtown into turn number 1. Aeronome jumps out to that top spot. Everybody right behind trying to duke it out side by side and 3 wide racing. In fact, that's a driver running off the track. Keep it clean and keep it green. They have through 1. Let's see if they can do it through 2.
Yeah, so far so good as they're working their way through 2 and 3. Start heading up the hill there. We see a nice little 3-car breakaway there, look like with Jason and Felix and Arrow, as you're just hanging in the back there as they're working their way up to the balcony. See how tight the racing is here as we're on the nose of this Formula Ford, and just nicely done there. Everybody making their way through. Could not tell who that was. Maybe Tortolo. That might have been who that was. Oh, there's the trouble.
Oh my goodness, who is that bouncing? Oh my golly.
That was okay. So check, that was Gorson that we were on board with, but you saw the damage. We're going to get a replay to see who all was involved in that, as we now have a nice break there between several of the cars, as we've got the gap formed now from the incident. As we know, I'm going very wide out there out of the exit of 9, losing momentum. That's going to give Samoa's a chance to get into the lead and give Jason Green a chance to tighten that gap up. So as you can see, Jorgmani starting to close it down just a little bit, but only about 5 cars up there, 6 cars, I should say, in that first group, with a gap of about a second and a half back to Chris Murakami, and then 4 more along with him. So you're going to ride on board here on this replay, and you just see a couple cars get loose coming through that corner, and everybody else did a pretty decent job, but there were still some cars that were not so fortunate a little bit further back. As we're going to ride on board here, that's the oh yeah, you see the contact there. That's Lorero making contact there with the F4 that went through there. But Gorson involved, Lorero involved, Robitaille involved as well. Phil Berry also involved, has already made his stop, and Gorson has as well. And that's Michael McConnell, I think, was one of the spinners there at the very front. Luckily, nobody contacted him. As we see Gorson going around there as well. You got Michael G. Nelson sitting back here in the back watching the smoke. I think he gets hit from behind.
Oh.
Somebody didn't check up.
It was Robitaille.
Was it Robitaille? That's who that was? So there we go. So yeah. Robitaille was your car that was had the overinflated tires that was bouncing over itself. going down through the dirt. Yeah, just carried just too much speed, did not check up quite enough, and pays the price for it as iRacing physics going to work there.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at this moment from Robitaille. There's a contact, vault over Nelson, starts barrel rolling, hits the grass, bounces about 7 times. 8, yeah, I think we'll call that a big round 8 in terms of the bounces there. So after the hockey reference a little bit earlier on, will we call that off-track excursion a slap shot off the track? I'll see myself out.
I guess so. I would. Yeah, we're going to get a little hung replay there as getting that restored, and we'll just try and keep up with it as best we can there. We still got that 5-car group up front with Monty, Green, Montgomery, Gnome, and Samoa's, and then a gap of 2.5 seconds back to Andrew Love, who's joined by Reese, Tolo, Adrian, and then another 2 seconds back to Chris Murakami, who's got kind of on his own there with another 2 seconds back to Justice, and then DeGas's running in P12, and DeGas has got himself quite the train behind with Lynn, Marzuki, Sadro, Stevie Ray, Ian Anderson, Cathcart. So that's your I guess your third pack of cars there as we're back up to the front. Samoa is still in the lead. Gnome and then Monty and Green battling for third place. Monty taking the inside, able to slingshot through, pick up third as this front group is still continuing to battle on 6 cars deep.
Yes, keeping an eye on this front pack fight. I wonder if it's possible if we can maybe jump to Josh Justice running in 9th. He's not really involved in a battle at the current moment. I was just catching up on some of the messages that are in the 50,000 Discord servers that I'm in. And Josh said, I'm hoping that my livery doesn't kill the frame rate. Oh, yeah, that's why. Okay, I was like, okay, is he referring to the paint scheme earlier, or is this that? I'm trying to think. Is that Mr. Wilkie said it could be a kaleidoscope? I'm thinking it's like the Christmas light sort of color. It also looks like the sort of stained glass decoration that you'd see on a lamp, like hanging over a booth inside of an old school Pizza Hut from the 90s.
Yeah, or a really bad sweater.
Yeah. The best time to wear a striped sweater.
Well, I will throw this out there. We had Dirk Braun and Nick Tolo, as well as Paul Jackson, get meatball flags. So both Tolo and Braun have already came into the pits. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was actually Chris, I think, also had a whoa. Was it the Iron Brew car? That's Antonio Reese in the pits. We've got several cars off the track. Marzuki now in the pits as well. So a lot of carnage going on. Oh, yeah, just on the curb. And you see what happens. The car jumps when it comes back on the track. And not really anything that the driver becomes passenger at that point. And you see the carnage that takes effect. And this is there we go. There's that bump on the inside of turn 9. Just hits the bump, catches the curb, shoots back across the track, ends up pinballing against a couple other cars.
Yeah, very easy moment to have happen here at Willow Springs. Unfortunate for Guido, second race in a row that he's run into some sort of curb-related difficulties, if my memory serves me correctly. And you know what I'm looking forward to now, Charles? I'm looking forward to next Sunday when we get into the broadcast booth and we're going to hear Guido give a 27-minute long rant talking about Willow Springs. Guido, we love you. We love you, Guido. Fantastic producer, wonderful guy. But I'm looking forward to that next week.
Yeah, that'll be a conversation that we'll have. Well, not really a conversation, more monologue, but yeah, it'll be fun to hear from Guido's aspect. Fingers will, it'll be, you can just see the hand motions going as we're talking about it. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to have that conversation with him next week, as Sadro is now in the pit lane as well. Maybe involved in some issues somewhere near the track, or maybe deciding he's going to take his pit stop, and he does, and he's actually taking on fuel, it appears. So looks like maybe Sadro short fueled to start the race and has to take on a little bit of fuel during his pit stop, as we see Antonio Reese back out with a 10-second stop. So yeah, it looks like that we were starting to get some pit stops here early in the race. probably not a bad idea if you're a little bit further back. Give yourself a little bit of clean track to run your lines, and yeah, I think everything is that's probably not a bad idea for today's event.
Yes, I think a lot of racers may have to throw a small little curveball each other's way to try and make it to the end and have as good of a strategy call that he can to get the W here. As we see Urgmani holding on to that race lead up in the front. Is that a Peanuts themed car that I see there as he goes off the
It's
track?
definitely Christmas related.
Yeah, it is a very much so a Christmassy car, as there's another driver coming down the pits right behind. That's Kevin Adrian, the 10 car. Looking through, I'm trying to see. We're going to ignore the fact that Aeronome just overtook Urgmani there. That's the Christmas paint schemes matter more than the racing, and this is the only show that we can actually get away with saying that. I'm gonna have to go into my own iRacing and just horrifically zoom in here, so I'll be able to see Jurg's pores. I don't believe it is. It just looks like, I'm gonna be honest, it looks like various Christmas themed
Yeah.
like clip arts that you can put on like a slideshow or some kind. I am a fan of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very nice. Whoa, there's a good look at the snowman there on the front of Jorg's car. So yeah, very Christmas themed, and that's always always appropriate this time of year. So back on board here with Aeronome, who is back in the lead over Urgmani, Felix Amoas, Jason Green, Chris Montgomery, Andrew Love, the top 6, and they're in that pack. 3 seconds back is Tortolo with Chris Murakami in tow. And then you got a couple of cars that are out there just kind of in their bubbles. Justice DeGassis and Lynn. Lynn actually has Cathcart and Dan Wicksack along board. It's good to see Dan back out there. He's been in a couple, but he's been more not here than here recently. So it's good to see him out on the track.
Yeah, it's cool to see a lot of familiar names that we haven't seen too much of throughout the season running out there on the racetrack. One of them, of course, being Mr. Stevie Race Series admin himself. Occasionally shows up to run in the races, but nice to see him running out there on the circuit here with him coming down pit lane. Of course, that has opened up the pit windows. A lot of racers from the top 15 just came down to the pits. I saw Tortello, Josh Justice, and Dan Witzak all coming into the pits at roughly the same time, taking tires there in the case of Justice. I'm not sure if that's going to work out well. Actually, it looks like both himself and Tullo with the cars jacked up in the air up at the front. So that is a rather fascinating call.
It is a different call, and so it's only a 13.7 stop. So it's a little bit longer than some of the other drivers, but not horribly longer. So he thought that maybe getting some fresh fronts will help keep the grip up on this track. His track is kind of being in the desert, a little bit abrasive. Will burn some tires. So yeah, maybe front's probably not a bad call, and we'll see how it plays out, because obviously, we've still got another 30 minutes or so of racing left to do. So we got this nice group up front on board with Jason, as you see him running in 4th place. He's got Chris Montgomery all over the back of him, almost giving him a push down into turn 1 as they work their way through. And you see that, we'll say this, the good thing about these corners, they do have quite a bit of camber in them, so that does help these cars get their way around, and carry some more momentum. So it's good to have that little bit of help there from the track itself to help get your car around the corners. So so far as up front, it's pretty standard, stand pat, not really doing a lot of racing. Could be doing some fuel saving up here in the front three.
As we continue to see the action out there on the racetrack, I'll bring up my own version of a first world problem. After I was trying to do my investigative journalism, zooming into Urgmani's car to see exactly what was on the side of that car, some of the cameras that I have on the racetrack are incredibly zoomed in on my perspective, which is a little bit tricky to change without completely losing my production feed. So it's basically just a game of whack-a-mole. Whenever the cameras pop up all through the first couple of turns, I have to quickly pull up the camera control map, zoom out, and it's a nice little game of juggling that I've got going on here at the present moment. That, or I'll maybe just have them zoomed in completely so it'll look like a NASCAR on Fox broadcast from my perspective. That'll work out quite well, I think. Currently looking at this top 6. Still running out there on the racetrack and keeping it rather smooth. I was going to say that they're all single file, but Aaron Nome and Jörg Monty swapping spots up at the front of the field, but Nome runs a little bit deep out of 1 into 2 now. I think Monty may have a chance to strike back.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he was able to carry the momentum and keep his position, but now Monty dropping down as Samoa's jumps up into P2. May have had to check up a little bit more than he expected there, and it gave Samoa's a chance to go as we got Michelle Lynn with a black flag. So guessing maybe incident points. I'm not sure. Doesn't look like it. So she's in the pits. So that's going to be a pit speeding entry penalty for Michelle, and that's going to do. It's not going to do a great things for her finishing order. I don't think.
Yeah, so not the first time we've seen a driver get hit with a black flag here today, and may not be the last either. I say the word dread loosely here because I'm not dreading it, but I'm waiting to see what happens in the Spec Racer Ford race coming up a little bit later on, because that is going to be probably a test of everybody's patience and potentially a test of all of our graphics cards. Is Aaron Nome going to come down pit lane? Fascinating to see him break away from the front of the field. So it's now 5 cars strong at the front pack.
Yeah, it's the Spec Racer is going to be something fun. It's obviously maximum draft as we see a lap car coming around that was just running off wide there, and so the leaders will have to navigate that. Maybe that's why Nome came into the pits. He saw the lap traffic up there and said, you know what, I don't know if I want to deal with that right now, so let me go ahead and take my pit stop. I'll come in and get the service done and get back out there, and I won't have to worry about that guy. Hopefully they'll be gone by the time I get back around. So probably a good call there by Nome to anticipate having to deal with lap traffic and just decide to go ahead and take his pit stop.
Yeah, as much as we've talked about the racing action going on between drivers running in the packs of their own, battling for track position, I gotta wonder how it's gonna be with the lap traffic dilemma, because this does give the vibe of a sort of racetrack where the lap traffic can be a bit difficult to manage with the long straightaways, not a lot of heavy braking opportunities. It's great in a draft heavy car, but in a car like this where you have a bit more on your hands instead of just flat out full throttle racing and having to worry about staying in the slipstream, it can be a little bit tougher to manage. So I think with that being said, that could be a very good call from Aaron Nome to say, you know what, I'm breaking away from this nonsense. Y'all have fun with the lap traffic. I'm going to be here running by myself.
Yeah, and that lap car, as you see him on the outside, is JG1 Jason Grider, as he just stays wide and allows that lead pack to take the inside line through the corner. So nicely done by Jason there. And we'll have Chris Murakami coming up on his tail here in short order. So just doing a good job of just staying out of the way, running his race as best he can. So good to see Jason out there and being the sportsman that I know he is, as joining and racing with him occasionally in some other leagues. He's a very good sport and will absolutely do what is necessary to facilitate passing when it's needed.
And that's one commendable thing about all the drivers in the Weekend Warriors, an incredible level of sportsmanship that everybody shows to one another. That's part of what makes the Weekend Warriors great, and this past season was, of course, a very historic moment in Weekend Warriors history with the 10th anniversary Spec Racer Ford season. It was back on September 29th of 2015, if my memory serves me correctly. That was the very first Spec Racer Ford race. It was in September, I know that for sure. The worst part is I could probably go back and find a race that I was at that day, unaware of the existence of iRacing, unaware that I would end up commentating this absolutely amazing community only a decade later. I don't even think I knew that I was alive back when I was 15. Not back when I was 15. Back when I was 15 was true, but back in 2015 was most certainly the case.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously only been involved with it for the last three years, so not even but you're absolutely right. Amazing community of people, both from the administrative side and the people who race this week in and week out. You couldn't ask for a better group of folks to work with and to do commentary on their racing. So I've really enjoyed my time working with the Weekend Warriors, and hopefully we'll get the V's and the Formula Fords here in the next few years. We'll get to celebrate some anniversaries with them also. A little blink there from Jorg as his Swiss cheese connect. I mean, his Swiss connection is acting up there just a little bit.
I think Swiss cheese connection may be my favorite term now. I think that is rather fitting because much like some people's internet connection, it can have some holes that develop in it rather quickly. I remember this was a good story that my dad always shares with me in reference to Swiss cheese. So I've shared this a decent amount on the air, and I'll say it once again. My grandfather came to this country way back in the early part of the 20th century and opened up a butcher shop here in the city of Philadelphia. And the longest time, whenever they would sell Swiss cheese, I'm pretty sure it was one of the people that worked at the shop would cut out more holes in the cheese to make it a bit more appetizing to sell, and also just snack on the cheese that he cut out.
Yeah, I mean that's actually really smart. And you know, if you're buying by weight, I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but so get more cheese for the you know, same amount of cheese for the consumer, but you get a little snack while you're doing your work. So yeah, that's a pretty smart idea.
Yeah, I think that is a very nice idea. I know that's one of my favorite things to do because being from the city of Philadelphia, one of the fantastic delicacies that we have is just going to a delicatessen and getting some lunch meat and some cheese and either making a sandwich out of that stuff, or sometimes what I like to do is put a piece of like ham, turkey, chicken, whatever the case may be, the lunch meat of choice, put a slice of cheese in there as well and just roll it up and munch on that whenever I'm making a sandwich. That is a wonderful thing that I was introduced to by my dad many moons ago, and it's a very, very great thing. Looking at a very nice paint scheme there with Verstelen, I believe is the other correct Dutch pronunciation. I apologize to any Dutch people tuning into this broadcast if I completely butchered it, which I probably did. But currently running a P15 at the moment with the old paint scheme with you run your Hot Wheels cars around here. I think I had one of those many moons ago, and I don't think I gave that away until I started giving away my old Hot Wheels cars to some of the people I used to race with back about 2 years ago, I would say, roughly, give or take. I'm not too sure. I can't even remember what I had for dinner 2 nights ago, so you can take all of my stories with as many grains of salt as you want.
Yeah, as you see this little group here, led by Chris, with Gorson, Sadro, and Witzak. Oh, and you see that little bump there. Nice catch there by Witzak as he got a little loose there coming through 9, but still battling. Even in the back half of the field, you still see battling for positions here during the course. Oh, a little spin, half spin, and he's off the track. Did he get touched? Could not tell if there was a touch there or not, but he's rejoined. And that was Gorson rejoining at the back of this group now. I think he's kind of lost connection there with it. You can see him here working his way down into the inside of turn 1. Car just gets a little loose as he's navigating the corner. No, he just overcorrects a little bit, but manages to get it caught, but obviously lost quite a bit of time there on the track.
Yes, and taking a look at a replay of this to see what happened, and then dive into one, and okay, he kept it going in a straight line with some very odd sound effects coming out of me. Hey, he kept it going in a straight line. That's what matters at the end of the day. Even if he had to saw on that wheel and go about 16 different ways on the steering box, it still worked out.
Yeah, straight line's probably not the term I would use, but he did keep it heading in the proper direction for sure. So great job by Gorson there to catch that car. And left a couple of divots as we see them working their way around turn 9 again. So this is this same group with Chris and the 2 Dan, Sadro and Witzak, working their way down the front straight. Still good battle up here, or I should say here. In the mid-pack between these 3 cars, as you see Sadro looking to the inside. Is he going to be able to get that car? Is that Sadro? No, I'm sorry. That was Chris on the left, or the left side of the track there, the 1 car. Sadro's on the right side in the 51 car. So now that we've got those corrected, you see a nice 2-car battle there. Whitsack being very patient to say, you know what, I'll wait and see how this all shakes out before I decide to do anything as they work their way up to the balcony.
Yeah, continuing on with the side-by-side battling, at least very briefly before they had their way off through turn number 4. Always got some bad flashbacks looking at the orange barriers on the outside there. If anybody has ever driven on this racetrack in, I nearly said BeamNG Drive, if anyone's driven on this racetrack in Project Cars 2, the barriers on the outside of this racetrack are made out of tungsten. So whenever you hit them, they can move slightly, but it's pretty much like trying to move a cinder block. You just can't really do it. As we take a look at Dan Sadro sweeping around the outside, hopping the berm a little bit over the painted white line into the dirt. He was able to keep it on the inside through turn number 2. This long sweeper to get the lap up and rolling. Lots of long turns on this racetrack, but worked out well for Sadros. He was able to jump his way up into P14. Not able to get that spot, but Michael Nelson, now down in the pit lane with a black flag, has helped him gain 1 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So still battling as we were still watching this battle. And now back to live with Chris running in P13. Sadro there just behind in 14th, Whitsack in 15th. So they continue on. You see Josh Justice just ahead there, running in 12th, kind of by himself. But this group is starting to make up a little bit of ground on Josh. So yeah, you see the battle of the bad Christmas wrapping paper between Josh and Chris. Yeah, and as you said, Nelson in the pits now has got his pit served, and the black flag, I think, was also for a pit speeding, so he's back out after a 59-second stop. So we still have about, I think, the top 7 cars plus Cathcart running in 9th still haven't taken their pit stop yet, so we still have pit stops to come for a few of these cars. And we'll see how this all shakes out. And so we see Gorson as well, running in 16th there, has also yet to stop during the race.
You know, when you mentioned that thing about odd and tacky Christmas wrapping, it made me think of a Christmas decoration that was recently unearthed as I decided to decorate the house. So I'm going to admit to a cardinal sin that was committed by me back after the Christmas of 2023. So Christmas of 2023 was not a very good time. It was right off the back of me having a root canal that I had to deal with. Oof. And in the final appointment, when they actually put the permanent crown in, I got COVID. Shortly thereafter. Still had broadcasting. I was cranking out more YouTube videos than I think I ever could do. So I was maintaining a twice a week upload schedule of videos that took probably about 35 hours to produce. So it was torture. So I had the Christmas tree up with lights, no decorations, no ornaments. It was just that, and we also had some string lights on the railing up the stairs. So from then all the way up until after Christmas of 2024, so this was probably January, February of this year, the Christmas decorations stayed up. Just because that Christmas was so poor, I just wanted to keep them up and leave them up there as a permanent reminder. So finally getting around to decorating the house for Christmas for the first time since 2023 was a good experience. And in the process of that, I found this little Christmas tree decoration that had a music box on the bottom. Now, I'm not going to risk it to play it on the air because from my own YouTube experience, trust me, YouTube music copyright holders can be a pain in the rear end to deal with, and I don't want Josh to have to worry about that here on this channel. But I found this little music box Christmas tree. You turn the crank, and the tree spins around very slowly and has Christmas music playing. I think it's about 35 years old. It was a gift from my late Aunt Doris, who lived in West Virginia, and it's kind of creepy to everybody that I show it to, but I think there's a little bit of charm to it. I feel like Christmas is the only holiday in the year where creepiness can be found with a little bit of charm, outside of Halloween, where that's kind of by design.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. As we're, so I was watching, Aero Gnome has dropped out. He had a slowdown, so he was off the track somewhere, lost several positions, down into 16th now. So he's back behind that battle that we've been kind of keeping an eye on. Is Now, Antonio Reese has is the first car who has yet to pit. He's got a 40-second gap up to the lead group, as we're going to see if we get a view here of what happened to Nome. He's working his way up to the balcony section and just carries a little too much speed through there and gets wide. And he's going to take the shortcut. And is he going to go all the way across? Or he's maybe he's trying to figure out where he's supposed to be going at this point, or either way, he stopped there and lost several seconds and several positions on track. Now back up to 14th, so he's kind of working his way back up the grid there. So we still have, like I said, those top 8 cars yet to pit. Antonio Reese, the first car who has pitted. So we'll see how it all works out. Antonio, like I said, about 40 seconds behind the leader. So judging by the amount of time it takes for these leaders to come into the pits, what we've seen with the other cars, he's going to be right into the thick of it before when this is all shakes out.
Yes, so plenty of racing action left to go and a lot left to be decided as well. So I don't think we can award the checkered flag to anybody yet. So have the pit stops to worry about for the entirety of the top 8. And Alexander Gorson running at 11th, sticking out, not necessarily like a sore thumb, but having no pit time there is definitely a little bit jarring when everybody else from Antonio Reese down back has now come down into the pits. I gotta say, this has been a much tamer race than the Formula V's earlier. However, we still have a bit more time left in this for chaos to maybe break out. We've just had a double black flag. Forget a double rainbow. We've had double black flag with Verstappen, the number 1 car, and I believe Michael Nelson also picked up a black flag.
Yeah, and Verstappen is trying to see if that was, he'd already taken his pit stop, so I'm trying to see if that was maybe incident points, because his incident points are kind of high in our software, as we see Nelson just looping the car around, and that might have been the reason for his is little 2x there plus the off track. That's going to be 3, and we see Grider there as well going taking the scenic route as he's back on the track now. We're going to go down into turn 1 here. It's just going to he just got off in the dirt before he got into the braking zone and just couldn't get the car to stop and get turned in. So he just stayed wide there as we're back around here to see Andrew Love as he is on the back of this group here. And Andrew, once again, wide there. So just nicely rejoined Stevie Ray. That's way out there, Stevie. Where are you going? He's going to the parking lot. So
Yeah.
he said, "I'm done. Let me go put this thing back on the trailer." So wide, you could just see the car just tried to carry as much speed as he could through that sweeper there at 8 and 9, and manages to get it caught before he gets to the wall. I think the berm there might have helped him a little bit as he's going to work his way into the pit. Nope, he's going to. That was pretty bad there for Stevie. As he looked like that was going to be a penalty anyway, because I think he crossed in between the cones and then tried to go back out to the track, which I think would have been a no-go as well. So we see Samoa's now in the pits from that front group, so that front group's now starting to take their pit stops, and we'll see how this shakes out for some of those guys a little bit further back that have already pitted. We'll see where Samoa's comes out in relation to, say, Reese and Adrian. Looks like he's going to come out just in front of him with an 8.1 second stoppage time. He is back out of the pits, and we'll see what the gap looks like there between him and Reese. It's like it's still going to be about 10 seconds or so.
I just realized as we were riding on board with Stevie and following him in that moment, actually 2 things that I noticed from that. Number 1, whenever the drivers go off track here, maybe it's just something to do with like a recent update, but it looks like there's snow coming off the back of the car whenever they go off the track. It looks like white particles instead of just a usual beige and like brown that you'd expect running off into the dirt. And also the pit attenuator here, I never noticed it. It's so bizarre. It looks like a bunch of yellow sofa cushions off your grandmother's couch wrapped in chain link fence. That is bizarre. You know, if it works, it works. And I think if you hit that, you have bigger problems on your hands than the materials that was used in that barrier, as Chris Montgomery breaking out from the top 4 to come down pit lane.
Yeah, I was going to say I wasn't going to use chain link. I was going to say chicken wire because that's kind of what it looked like to me, which is a little bit thinner gauge, and a little bit easier and a little more malleable to be shaped, to hold those couch cushions up there against the edge of the wall. But either way, yeah, it's kind of strange. But once again, you're talking about a track that was basically built in the '60s, and really hasn't changed very much since then.
Yeah, this track has remained pretty much identical, at least this configuration, that is, since the track was first built. And a little bit of fascinating information. I don't remember exactly what year it was. I believe it may have been 1953. This track was the site of the first ever NASCAR race in the state of California. Oh, no. Oh, that Samoa is spinning off the track, heading down to turn number 2. I knew that was going to end poorly. That's why I was panicking and screaming no as quickly as I was. But as my career as a cattle auctioneer goes away, the dodo bird, Samoa is going to rejoin the racetrack down in 9th.
Yeah, and we're going to get another look here as you see Chris Montgomery, I think, had passed Samoa's, and Samoa's looking for a way around. And yeah, you just see him. He got off the track, and it kind of just, as he rejoined, he just kind of went too far back into Montgomery and made some wheel-to-wheel contact, and that was Samoa's losing several seconds there as Aeronome has come back into the pits again. And has a black flag, so I'm wondering if that is well, now he's towed, so I'm wondering if that's maybe he got a speeding penalty or something happened, and we'll have to see if we can find a replay on that. But that was a very bizarre set of circumstances involving Aeronome there, who was leading this race at one point and now has really fallen down the order with him and Samoa's both down in the mid-20s. And so now we've got this 3-car group up front containing Jason Green, Andrew Love, Chris Murakami, with Chris Montgomery way far behind. And this is the top 3 who have yet to pit, along with Cathcart running in 6, who is still yet to pit as well. So 4 cars left with about 35 minutes gone in the race. So they've got to come in here pretty soon and get this stop done, as we see the gas is running a little wide there out of 9.
As Dirk Braun going to utilize that as an opportunity to draw alongside and try and jump his way up into P15, a past Spec 2 champion in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, trying to do well here in this FF race here in the runoffs. As Andrew Love and Chris Murakami have both breaking away. It's come down pit lane, and DeGassis goes for the dive once again into 2. These two going to continue in their side-by-side fight. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up the road, Dan Sadro and Ian Anderson have their own side-by-side scrap for P13. Not sure exactly how much I would want to fight for 13th, just based off superstitions and all that, as I can't speak. But Sadro now holding on to that spot, as it looks like Braun has been able to muscle his way past DeGassis.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was kind of looking at where the rest of those guys were, Gorson and Witzak have passed Justice, so now Witzak sitting there in 10th place as we have a couple more cars coming into the pit. So the last 2 non-pitters, Jason Green and Brad Cathcart, running in 1st and 4th respectively, as Samoas is in the pit. So it looks like he's got the back end of the car up, taking tires. So interesting, but he's at this point, we've got he's getting repair. So he's been in there for 2.5 minutes already. So he's getting repair work done on his Formula Ford there. As we're back to this battle with Sadro and Ian Anderson. Nice little battle going on here as they're working their way around turn 2 and through 2 and 3, as we see Dirk Braun, Alan DeGassis with is that Guido behind them. Father Guido, and that's 15th, 16th, and 17th. So nice little battle going on there for that group. And we've got Jason Green in the pits now. So last of our front runners in the pits. Cathcart should be coming into the pits when he comes around at almost 37 minutes into the race.
Yeah, so not a lot of time left to go here in the second race of the day. Jason Green now out and away, 8.7 seconds stopped in the pit stall, and I believe he'll be able to shake out with the lead. Jörg Mani once again briefly gets abducted by a UFO, but there you can see the gap. Jason Green, always the strategy professor, gonna pull off another masterclass here. Brad Cathcart has to come down pit lane. Alexander Gorson is now as well. As let's take a look at this stop from Jason Green. Had the car right in front of him disappear at the perfect time for him to have a straight shot at the pits. And Jason Green now going to hold on to the race lead with just a handful of moments left to go.
Yeah, 3 seconds quicker than Monty in second and Love in third. So did a great job on his pit stop. Obviously, waiting to the very last possible moment. It probably shows you how much fuel he was saving during the course of the race, and he was able to come in with basically 4 minutes left. As Cathcart still hasn't come in yet. That's interesting. So we'll see what his strategy is here as we get toward the end of this. But currently running in fourth, and he's only about 4 seconds behind Love. So he's and got a battle going on between himself and Chris Murakami and Antonio Reese for that fourth position as Murakami works his way around the inside there and gets that spot. And now looks like Reese is going to do the same as Cathcart going wide and is going to give up that spot and come into the pits and take his stop. And I think we're going to say 1 to go next time by, I think, based on where the cars are on the track.
Yeah, I believe you may be right there. Jason Green about to start up the final lap of the race as Dan Sadro still continues to fight with Ian Anderson. Sadro, Weekend Warriors veteran in his own right. Ian Anderson, a driver who I first got the opportunity to cover in a Formula Ford official broadcast that I used to do. Yeah, very talented racer. Made the jump up into Formula Ford Weekend Warriors action, and very talented racer for sure, but not going to be able to hold on to P10 as Dan Sadro now able to jump in front of that spot, but it is still not over with Anderson fighting back on the inside. Into turn 2, contact made. That's a huge hip check. Very lucky to get away with that without any major incident. But I think in all that, Anderson may be able to get the nose out and jump in front of Sadro. In that Iron Brew machine, he gets the spot. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, I'm going to hold off on that point. I think Jason Green is about to start up the final. Actually, it may be borderline. Has a little bit left to go here in this lap. It's got to be close. Yeah, he's heading his way out of the final corner. Got to be starting the white flag lap this time by. I was worried that it was going to be a matter of seconds, and it was just a matter of 10 seconds to make that closer to 11.
Yeah.
But Green now on the last lap with a 1.6 second gap.
Yep, and a nice gap out front. Monty and Love doing everything they can to try and close it down. Monty has actually closed it a little bit over this course of this last lap, but I don't know that that's going to be enough unless Green makes a mistake, which, you know, is possible here. This is a difficult track, so I think Green's got everything covered, but we'll see what happens. We got Murakami battling with Reese there. This is for P4. And Kevin Adrian running way back in sixth, about 15 seconds back, but you see the battle here. I think that's Jason Grider behind them, a lap down, just kind of watching the festivities as they work their way off the hill down into 7 and 8 for one final time here.
Yeah, so if time officially expired, we're going to see Jason Green come across the line to win this race in just a couple of moments' time and cap off what's already been a good day behind the wheel for him. Already finished good in the Formula Vs. He's on track to finish pretty well here in these FFs with a victory. Meanwhile, a side-by-side battle going to potentially flare up with Murakami and Antonio Reese at the very end. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Jason Green going to cap off a great day already with a win here in the FS. We'll have to see if he's out on track for the Spec Racer Fords. Drag race right behind Reese and Murakami right at the end. Reese is going to get the nose out over Murakami. That was borderline. I'll have to take a look to see whether or not that was the finishing order. Yes, it was.
Yep,
and it was
200
basically
to a
nothing
second
between those drivers.
Yeah, 200 a second is our unofficial gap there between Reese and Murakami, as we still have Ian Anderson and Sadro running their way down the start-finish straight for the last time. Looks like Anderson is going to get that position to finish the last car in the top 10. Sadro just behind in 11th, and then we got Alan DeGassis and Dirk Braun coming down as well. Looks like DeGassis is going to be able to hold off Braun for P12. And then we'll have another set of cars here with Chris and Brad Cathcart after his late stop is going to end up finishing, looks like, in P15. So a good run there as we see. Oh, that's not good. As was Gorson. I saw the black flag pop up, and now I see the reason why. It was him and Chris Montgomery battling there through 8 and 9 on the final lap. And Montgomery's going to be able to limp it across the line. Gorson, I'm not sure where Gorson went to, but I think it may be somewhere in Arizona.
Yeah. He may have very well ended up in New Mexico. I mean, he was sliding forever. Let's take a look at this. Side by side battling right at the very end. Two drivers that were probably expecting a little bit more out of this race. Was expecting a good finish. Wasn't expecting that. Oh my goodness. Pops up in the air. Slides. Oh. Yep. Did he ballpark it, or was that marked as a ballpark, or did he alt F4 before he hit the wall?
I want to say that was a ballpark, but because I did see look like a puff of dirt on the outside of the wall there. It's just Montgomery, just as we're working their way through 8 and 9, just runs a little bit wide coming in at 9. You see the car push way out, and nowhere for Gorson to go. Montgomery able to get it saved and back out in the right direction, but obviously not the same result for Gorson, unfortunately. So Montgomery's going to finish 18th, and Gorson's going to finish in P20 from that last one with Phil Berry getting that one little spot there at the very end.
Yeah, so an odd incident to end off the race, but overall a pretty darn good one. A lot more tame than the Formula Vs, and certainly going to be a bit more tame than the Spec Racer Fords coming up. A little bit of time to go, so we'll take a look at the results before we move off into the Spec Racer Fords, because that is going to be a wild race. I don't think we will have a single point to breathe during that, and we said to buckle your seatbelts a little bit earlier on. Make sure the seatbelt pulley system is working out too well, so it will stop you in case we come to too much of a halt during that Spec Racer Fords. We're going to be in for a wild one. But let's take a look at the results here. It's Jason Green winning it over Jörg Monty in second. Andrew Love will round out your podium in third. It's Antonio Reese in fourth. Chris Murakami right behind in P5. Michael McConnell will finish this race in sixth, with Dan Witzak in seventh. Josh Justice in P8. Kevin Adrian in ninth. Ian Anderson right behind will complete your top 10 in a battle between himself and Dan Sadro, who finishes right behind in 11th. Alan DeGassis will finish this race in 12th. Dirk Braun will be right behind in lucky P13. And then looking right behind, writing at your first page of the results, will be Chris Verstelen in front of Brad Cathcart. Paul Jackson will finish in 16th, with Guido Marzuki and Chris Montgomery completing your top 18.
Yeah, Phil Berry finishes in 19th. Michelle Lynn finishing in 20th. Jason Grider, 21st. Alexander Gorson actually ends up in 22nd. Artur Lorero finishing in 23rd. Felix Samoas, 24th. Errol Nome finishing in 25th. Michael G. Nelson finishing in 26th. Stevie Ray, 27th. Tortello finishing in 28th, just ahead of his dad, Nick, finishing in 29th. And Pierre Robitaille finishing in 30th. I told you, Pierre, you should have been playing hockey today. Either way, Russ Lundberg qualified or finished it in 30 or classified in 31st as he did not take the start.
Yeah, so those are your results for the Formula Fords. Now, I think we have a little bit of buffer time before the Spec Racer Ford race. So I'm going to partake in, I think this is the first official installment of Ron's Moral Outrage. And I will say, somebody, and I guess it's like a Subaru WRX, is doing donuts in the schoolyard right behind my house. And bearing in mind, folks, the city of Philadelphia got hit with 3 inches of snow overnight. So I'm not sure what the point is of doing donuts in the snow. That's basically like throwing a powdered donut at a wall and being shocked when there's a puff of white smoke that comes up from the powdered sugar that's got let loose afterwards. I feel like we'll have to have a whole discussion about snow at some point, because 3 inches of snow to Josh up there in Canada is basically just a normal day in July.
Yeah, and 3 inches of snow for me is basically we shut the entire state now. So, you know.
Oh, that reminds me of a good quip. So this was on a broadcast I was doing, I think it was last weekend when I was doing this. It was an endurance race, so obviously the mind runs wild in the midnight hours of that. And considering I was on the air until midnight, you can obviously tell that this is how I stand when I'm on my A game. If I'm talking about crazy stuff as normal. You can imagine my brain runs a little bit wild. And it got onto a discussion about snow, and I mentioned how in the city of Philadelphia that if there's more than 4 inches of snow, I'm pretty sure the mayor of the city resigns. So, you take the wins when you can get them. But Charles, that was a pretty darn good FF race, but now we got the Spec Racer Fords, and I think we're going to have to firmly buckle our seatbelts once again.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think as you need to strap it in because we get all the side-by-side racing you've seen in the last 2 races, along with some serious bump drafting amongst these cars. No fear to run side-by-side. It's going to be great. It's always a fantastic race. It seems like, anytime we've ran the Spec Racers here, it's a very close finish and lots of drama in the late stages of the race. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I know we're going to be in for a good show.
Yeah, we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun for the Spec Racer Fords. They're currently out there on the racetrack, getting the juices flowing. We'll be back in a couple of moments for the final race of the day here for the 47th vRunoffs here on SMB.
Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. And we are live once again, this time for the final race of the 47th vRunoffs here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. It's been an awesome day of action. Had the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and now we've got the Spec Racing Fords. It's myself, Ron Mullins, and Charles Beauchel with you on the call here with Joshua Wilkie working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler. Before we get too lost up in the action, I want to once again thank TW3 Paints and Stevie Ray for making this broadcast possible as well. And if you want to buy Stevie's book, Pixel to Podiums, you can by taking a look at on Amazon, either in an ebook or hardback form. Before we really get too lost into qualifying that's about to begin here in a couple of moments' time, I do want to issue at a very unnecessary story and a slight apology here. So I've been getting into the groove of things here on this show, which is a bit surprising to me. I mentioned the snow that fell down here in the city overnight, and this is a good story. So I was shoveling this morning, and after I was done shoveling, I was trying to clean the snow off of the cover on my Oldsmobile and eventually clear off the snow on the family Jeep. And before I could get an opportunity to do that, I was sitting right by, well, not sitting, I was standing right by my Oldsmobile, which is right over the front of the house. Minding my own business, when all of a sudden a giant pile of snow fell off one of the higher up floors on the house and came down crashing on my head. So if people think that I may be slightly concussed during the show, I very much so could be. So there's the snow story of the day. Charles, how's your day going?
I mean, you know, it's going better than yours apparently, but you know, it was. I was telling you guys, obviously, a little bit late getting in here, thanks to a local restaurant who decided they wanted to take 30 minutes to fill my order this morning for breakfast. Otherwise, everything's been shipshape. It's a little cold. I mean, it's like I was telling you. You know, went to bed last night. It was about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Woke up this morning. It was 35, and we're going to be down in the teens for the low tonight, which is not conducive to Alabamians. So I'm just, you know, that's kind of how that works, and we'll have to deal with it for a day or two, and then we'll be back up to some semi-normal temperatures.
And up here in the city of Philadelphia at the current moment, the feels like is 12 Fahrenheit, and the current temperature is 27. It's going to be getting down to about 16 overnight, and probably by the time I'm done with this broadcast, it will be around 21 to 19. Oh, that is a rather interesting looking camera. Actually, Josh, I want to bring you into this discussion because I can't really judge when it comes to any sort of cold. How is it in your neck of the woods? Because you always talk about the fact that you're technically in a rainforest up there in Canada, and sometimes it gets cold that the snow doesn't even happen. So how is it out there? Is it either very snowy or just incredibly cold?
Yeah, we're getting a ton of snow this time of season right now. So it is snowmobile time. You know, I was going to mention there, it's hard to hold my tongue sometimes hearing you guys talk about snow. We get snow that falls off the roof of my house. Literally sounds like a car fell off the house, shakes the whole house. We had enough snow a couple years ago there that we have a barn in our backyard, and it collapsed the barn. There was about 12 feet of snow on top of the thing that just wouldn't slide for some reason, and it crunched the barn. So we get a ton of snow. If you were to be under, a snowfall that comes off one of our roofs out here, it would probably be fatal most of the time. So lots of snow out here. It doesn't get super cold, but we get tons and tons and tons of snow. It's quite beautiful, actually.
Yeah, I think actually in the other broadcast that I was doing not too long ago when I was referring to here in the city of Philadelphia, if we get 4 inches of snow, I think I looked into it in your neck of the woods. I think it was like 150 inches of snow a year, which if we even got
around there average.
Yeah, it's like something absolutely insane, which
Crazy.
I think if that happened here in the city of Philadelphia, even if it was spread out across a half a year, that would shut the city down, lickety split. And Charles, if that happened, I made the joke about the mayor resigning in Philly if we get 4 inches of snow. Does that happen in Alabama? Does the governor resign if y'all get any sort of snow at all?
Oh no. We know that once again the state shuts down. I think when I was in the military way back in the day, we had here in Alabama the Great Blizzard of 1993. Where we got somewhere between 8 and 12 inches of snow, and the entire state was shut down for a week. You literally could not do anything. As a matter of fact, I was stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana, where it did not snow, and I could not access my bank. I could not get money out of the ATM because the banks had shut down, and none of the processing was getting done.
Mhm.
So I was without pay for about a week there, as nothing was happening. So yeah, no, we just it's just we're not equipped to deal with snow here. So it's anytime there's more than about 2 inches, most
Mhm.
people are just content to stay home. You said the feels like was about 12. That which means for me that means my feels like is about 70 because I'm not going outside. So
We have just amazing removal here where we are. An amazing amount of, you hear the plows out all night long. Wake up in the morning and all the streets are clear. We'll get, over a foot, maybe a couple feet sometimes overnight. And by morning, it is all ready to go and everybody ready to go to work and stuff. Truth be known, I used to snowmobile quite a bit in the backcountry out here. And you would get so much snow out here, you're able to jump a snowmobile about 2-3 stories off a cliff, land like it's jumping off the curb, and you will leave a hole in the snow as big as an SRF behind you. You look behind you, and there is a hole that your snowmobile left from the cliff as big as a car behind you, and it's one of the coolest feelings in the world.
that's insane.
I think that's a fitting transition to talk about qualifying with about half the session already in our rearview mirror, about to get times really set on the board. Representative lap times, that is. Still seeing the same names that we have seen all throughout the day out there on the racetrack, the likes of Jason Green, Jurg Monty, Felix Samoas, which are currently your top 3 racers. But we do have some drivers that we usually see quite often here in the spec racing forums. I think I saw Mr. Kane Halliburton is going to be out there on the racetrack, although he's not out there on the circuit. He has yet to set time. The same could be said about Guido Marzucchi, who has yet to set clean time out there on the circuit himself. But nice to see Kane out there on the circuit. The 2025 Season 4 Spec 1 champion in the Spec Racer Fords. Lots of different words there for a championship title.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see a couple other names. Steve Saunders is in the race to jump in the SRF. It looks like a newcomer, Maxime Rubruck, German, and looks like I think that's the first time I've seen his name on the grid. So we'll see, keep an eye on him and see how well he does. But 6.2K I-rated racer, so I'm gonna guess he's probably pretty quick. So we'll see how it goes as we get back on board with Jurg Monty. His more Christmas themed. Good look there from the GoPro stationed above the cockpit. You see the nice holly and bells and all the cool things on Jurg's paint design there. As we're about 2.5 minutes to go left in qualifying. Jason Green still leading with Jurg Monty, trying to get up there and see if he can set a little bit better time. He's about 0.3 off of pole at this point.
Yeah, with that very jolly paint scheme on that car, let's see what Monty can do. Currently 0.333 seconds off of the pole. Gotta be a little bit more as Felix Samoas now jumps into that spot. Very good lap time at a 125.175. These are actually, I think these are quicker than the Formula Fords that we had on track a little bit earlier. If not, they may be slightly slower. Again, memory of a goldfish. Snow came down, crashing on my head. It whacked my back and my head as well. So I nearly blacked out and was like trying to catch my breath for a little while there. That was a shot.
Yeah, I think they're just. I think if I remember correctly, they're about 2 or 3 seconds slower per lap than the Formula Fords that we had just a moment ago, and they're a little bit heavier. But the difference obviously is the draft is going to be significant during this race. You will see guys pairing up and doing some bump drafting down the straightaways, and you can do a little more battling side by side, and the contact hopefully doesn't ruin your race, as we do see a couple cars out there that got meatballs during qualifying here as they're trying to set as fast a lap as possible, and I think breaking their cars in the process. So luckily we'll get a restart there, and we'll be able to get nice fresh cars out there for the race. as we're on board now with Maxime Rubrook. And he's going to set his lap. That looks very familiar as far as the livery is concerned. The looks very similar to is that Gorson, I think. Maybe Alexander Gorson runs a similar paint scheme.
I believe you are right there. Yeah, looking Frecko, I think is that's a fun name. That sounds like a nickname for somebody.
Yep. Josh is
Like,
saying
hey,
that's a
hey,
coffee
Frecko,
company.
how's it going?
So a cup of Frecko.
It sounds delightful. It sounds like a good way to wake up in the morning. That's what I should have done. Had that snow squall not whacked me in the head, I probably would have come home, come back inside after. I nearly said after mowing the lawn. After plowing the snow, I should have gone in and had some hot cocoa. That's always a good little holiday tradition this
Mm-hmm.
time of year. Very cold, you got to have some warming beverages, either tea, coffee, hot cocoa. If I was on coffee for this show, may God have mercy on everybody's soul. Let's take a look at the starting grid here for this race. The final race of the day, that's going to be Felix Samoes starting from the pole. Jason Green set to join him on the front row. It's going to be York Monty in third. Next to him will be Scott Russell. It's going to be Antonio Reese starting in fifth. Next to him will be Kevin Adrian. Steve Saunders will be in seventh, with Dirk Brun alongside in eighth. Dan Witzak will start this race in ninth. Dan Sadro rounds out your top 10. And then looking through, we have got Chris Montgomery in P11, Chris starting in P12, Chris Murakami starting in P13, Andrew Love in 14th, Joshua Justice, Alexander Gorson in P15 and P16, Brad Cathcart in 17th, Archer Lorero in P18, with Michelle Lynn and Kurt Nunez rounding out our top 20.
Yeah, final 10 spots there. Jason Grider starting in 21st. Guido Marzuki starting in 22nd. That's how you say his name, Marzuki. For those other racing services that can't get it right. Michael Nelson 23rd. Hugh Simpkins in 24th. As we scroll up a little bit further, I believe we got Phil Berry starting in 25th, Stevie Ray starting in 26th, Maxime Rubrook starting in 27th, Jeffrey Atkins starting in 28th, Paul Jackson 29th, Rich Meester rounds out your top 30, and then Kay Halliburton starting in 31st. If he's still in the service, he did not set a qualifying time. Could just be he wants to run from the back, or it could be he decided he just didn't want to run at all. So we'll see.
And for my employment's sakes over on RaceSpot TV, I want to say that I was not the one that made that joke. I've worked on one broadcast with Mr. Arjuna Kankapati, who a great guy from everything I've heard, but interesting pronunciation for Guido's name during the other Runoffs broadcast a couple of weeks ago for the SCCAI Racing Runoffs. He was actually my lead-in on the Bathurst 12 show a little bit earlier on this year, and for the first 15 minutes on that broadcast, I was having a panic attack. So that was festive. I was like, oh no, oh dear, we've already had some stack up. Okay, everybody got away with it somewhat scot-free. I was worried that Barney the Flagman was gonna have to bring out the yellow before he brought out the green.
Yeah, it was a little different there. But I do see Halliburton out on the track. So we do have 31 cars on the grid that's going to start the race. And as you see the rest of the cars trying to get caught back up and really get this race started. Hopefully that's the last time we see incidents like that. Hopefully we'll have a nice clean race, but it's going to be tight. Obviously the draft is going to be extremely important. It's going to keep these cars bunched together for quite a bit longer than you might expect. And we're going to be on board I think we're in for a really good race tonight. I just really do. I think that we may have a couple incidents early, but I think once everybody gets it all worked out, we'll be in for some fantastic racing.
Yeah, we're going to have a great and maybe horrifying race. I think both are rather fitting, and we say horrifying with all the love in the world. These spec race Fords put on some great action, but man, they can put on some racing that'll make you grow hair on your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. As I was looking through the field here, I do see Josh Justice back in his default paint scheme, that petty blue 99 car. So no Christmas themed liveries tonight in the spec racer. But once again, I think we see looks like we've got a few that are out there that are a little different, but I think for the most part, know most of these cars by their look and feel. So it'll be it'll be fun to keep up with how we do here. Obviously, want to see how a couple of these drivers in the back do working their way up. I figure Halliburton will start making his way up basically from the start of the race. We'll see how Rubrick does. Obviously, got a pretty good I rating, so we'll see if he's able to translate that into some pace. It'll be a little different, obviously, because we didn't have solo qualifying, no draft help. So this is everybody's kind of raw pace. But once you get in the draft, things change quickly.
Yeah, when we get the draft added into this, we're probably going to see racers turn their friends into enemies, and everybody's going to want to try and get the final checkered flag of the day of this event. Quickly want to give some love to Brian Zazinski, who's saying in the YouTube chat that for him up there in Wisconsin, it's 9 degrees Fahrenheit with a wind chill of -4. That sounds like he lives in a meat dehydrator, if I'm being completely honest. But let's get rocking and rolling for the Spec Racer Fords. Been a great event thus far, and still got one more checkered flag up for grabs as a green flag is at, and the drivers are on their way. We're racing for the final time here at Willow Springs. That's a fantastic start from Felix Samos. A not too great start for Jason Green as he is under a whole lot of pressure. Jörg Monty gonna jump in front of him. He slips back in tow. Meanwhile, Scott Russell maybe trying to apply some pressure as well. Nice to see Scott running up there inside the top 4. Don't usually see him running up in that high of a spot, but a darn good qualifying performance from the New Jersey driver, and a darn good performance in this race thus far. Everybody treating it rather smooth, as I think we may have had a driver go off the track. Yes, we did. Trying to identify who that is with a huge off-the-track moment. Is that you, Simpkins? I think it may be.
Yep. Yeah, used obviously climbing the hill. Got a little wide, and it's going to drop to the back of the field as we now have a couple with Murakami and Stevie Ray dropping down, Jeffrey Adkins as well. So we've got another couple of incidents in the back as Adkins is all the way down to the bottom. Halliburton up to 22nd already, just behind Rubrick, so they're already up 6 and 9 positions respectively. Nope.
Oh, as another driver going off the track. I'm trying to think. I think that that is Rich Meesters. He's towed back to the pits. A meatball flag for him. And hearing a correction from Brian in the YouTube chat, it's Chicago where he's at currently. That is that's still very chilly. Very, very chilly indeed. Won't be too shocked if the Great Lakes were completely frozen over and turned into a giant ice skating rink. Oh, this is very, very tense already. I don't have a good feeling about this, folks. I'll be brutally honest. 4 cars covered by nothing. Green, Russell, Monty, and Reese all separated by nothing, as Reese and Monty gonna squabble up through 1. That's Green running off the track, coming out of it into 2, and now Russell running in 3rd, trying to sweep around the outside.
Yeah, Russell having a good run, trying to work the outside there through 2 and 3 and keep his momentum going. He's going to have the inside line as we start climbing the hill. And you can see Jason Green just did not get a good start to this race. He's kind of in trouble there, as they've already kind of got a gap. Samoa's already kind of pulled 1 point or right a 1 second gap to Jason Green in P2. So they got to be. They'll have to be very aware of that, as they don't want to let Felix get a little too far ahead. They should be able to make that time up, though, with a little bump draft and a little helping out each other for the time being to try and close that gap down. But you see Reese and Monty there sitting there in, Monty and Reese sitting there in P4 and 5. Those guys have been racing together for seemingly forever. So it's we'll see how this all shakes out as they head their way down into turn 9. To see, just kind of watch how the lines are going to work here as we're on board. Looking at Chris there in front, or right behind Kevin Adrian, and you see the pack is still about 17 deep on that front group.
It's just a never-ending stream of race cars running around this racetrack. A pack of marching ants trying to get to that picnic first. It's right now Felix Samoa is leading that train of Army ants, but you've got Jason Green and Scott Russell running right in tow. Jörg Monty, Antonio Reese, Chris Veschel, and everybody all running around each other as we take a look at a moment involving Chris Murakami and Stevie Ray. A sideways snap from Murakami off through turn number 3. I think Stevie may have piled in. No, Stevie goes off the track right behind all by his lonesome. So shows you the challenge of turn number 3, one of the only heavy braking zones on this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're getting getting rejoined here back to the live racing action. You see those spins, maybe a simply spin there from Stevie as he's working his way around, saw the car off, and tried to check it up a little bit harder than he probably should have, but both safely back on the track and continuing as we see now two wide battle there around P10 with Montgomery, Saunders, Gorson, Justice, and Witzak, and Love as well in there right behind Dan Sadro leading that little group as we start to see a break now between P8 and P9. So we've kind of separated. We've got two distinct groups now up at the front. And once again, it's not too far away yet, 1.5 seconds. This second group can make that gap up because I'm sure that there'll be some battling up front. But they're content to do their own battling here in this mid-pack for the time being.
You're riding on board with Josh Justice. He's going to hop the berm on the exit of turn number 1, running off the track. Keeps it going in a straight line as still in the midst of this Hornet's Nest, running in 12th right behind Alexander Gorson. A black flag already for Artur Lorero. I would hope that's just for an unserved slowdown, because if that is 13x in about 5 minutes, I would be nearly impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's what it was, as my computer has blinked out a little bit, so I get a little bit of that as well. But yeah, Josh Justice, and then we're back up to Chris Montgomery there running in P9, leading that second pack. Now back up to the front, and you see Jason Green has closed that gap up now to Samoa's. I was going to say that if it looked like that maybe Jason was kind of managing his fuel a little bit, if that was the case, he probably should have let maybe Russell or one of the other cars lead that group so he could have tucked in. But now he's headed to the front. He's taking the lead over Samoa's.
Yeah, so Jason Green now jumping up into that top spot. Felix Samoa is now going to have to worry about being the rear gunner to Green, as he's actually got to come into the pits. That's a fascinating decision from him, but he's not alone. That's a very deep run into the pits. That's Sadro right in tow. I think he dropped the anchors enough to get woed up. I mean, granted, his tires got turned into rectangles, but, you know, he was still able to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's not a bad call. I think a good undercut here with the quality drivers we have in this group, and the fact that, you know, you're going to be able to get just tons of draft off the cars in front of you. I think this might be a good call to do the undercut. This might be a good call there in Felix's favor. So we'll see how it plays out, as I'm kind of looking. Kane Halliburton already up to P14. Rupert was climbing, but now is kind of stuck down there in P21, right behind Samoa. So he'll be able to get a good look at a good racing line there with Samoa's directly in front of him. He'll be able to watch and learn a little something about these cars as the race goes on. So that's probably not a bad thing for Rupert as well. So Samoa's is going to start charging up. He's already starting to close the gap up to Paul Jackson. So as they work up from under, I should say, as they've already taken their pit stop. So we'll see how Felix gets along back there. We still got that battle up the front, 6 cars involved, a little bit of a gap back to Kevin Adrian running in 7th.
Keeping an eye on these trains that are forming throughout this field. I think the style of racing that we're going to get is a bit of a blend of the Formula Vs and the Formula Fords that we have already seen here. A bit of leapfrogging the drafting game, much like the Vs, but still have to be a bit more technical. Kind of similar to the Formula Ford race that we just had, where these cars are a bit of a handful. There's nothing that drives quite like the Spec Racer Ford on iRacing. There's nothing that quite drives like it in real life. There's nothing that quite looks like it in real life either. This is truly a one-of-a-kind, unique kind of racing series and racing car. You just don't get it anywhere else. I do love the fact that the door wedges put on some of the best racing on iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy the broadcast I get to do here with these cars, and you're right. There's not really anything like it on the roadside. It is, these cars draft really well. They stay close together. There's good side by side racing. They can take a little bit of contact without completely ruining your day. So it's good to see as we're watching Halliburton there running in P14. Trying to close the gap up, but it's going to be a little tough there as he got a nice big pack in front of him there. So it's going to be hard to make up that gap in a hurry. But obviously plenty of time left in the race as we're only about 9 minutes in. And as we see Jason Green now taking the pit stop, so he's going to drop out of that lead group and work his way through the pits, get his stop made, and get back out there and do some of that. And we'll see where he comes out in relationship to Samoa. So we'll see how the undercuts help Samoa's out as he's been able to get back there behind, and work by himself. So Jason Green out. You see Samoa's there on the outside working his way around. He's going to have a little bit of an advantage as Jason's trying to get back up to speed. But this is going to be a battle for the lead, I think, at the end of the race. Should nothing befall these guys before it's over.
Yeah, that's a real question. What sort of drama is going to break out? Because with the packs as close as they are, with the style of drafting that we have seen, I feel like something will break sooner rather than later. I will say, though, the field has broken up somewhat. I'm a bit surprised that it has broken up to the degree that it has, although we are nearly 10 minutes into this race already, so time flies when you are having fun. Drivers coming into the pits throughout the field. Doesn't matter what spot they're running in, they have to come into the pits at some point, but they're still running out there as quickly as they possibly can. Vestelin, we will get the name pronunciation correct if he does return for the next season, which I hope he will, because he's shown some pace here today, whether it be the Vs, the FFs, or the SRFs.
Yeah, absolutely has. He's doing a great job out there. You see Scott Russell working to the inside, going to take the lead. Going down into turn one, Dirk Braun now up in third. He's made a charge to get up there into that lead pack. Jorg Monty running in fourth, Reese in fifth, Kevin Adrian sixth in that 6-car battle. And you see the next group behind, led by Montgomery with Justice Gorson, Saunders, Love, and Witzak. So 6 cars in the lead pack and another 6 cars behind running in that second group. And that second group will make up time depending on how hard these guys up front decide they want to keep swapping that lead out.
And we have to bring it up in reference to a spec race or Ford race more often than not. What happens when you have an intense battle is you're going to see these drivers kind of drag each other down as if there's anchors tied to their ankles. You're going to see everybody lose out on more and more time if they start to battle, even if they aren't battling and the racing is just a bit stagnant. There's a limited amount of leapfrogging that you have to do that can be quicker than if you're just running in a train, because sometimes you're going to be stuck behind a car where it's like, I really feel like I could go a lot quicker. So sometimes you can have both sides of the coin, either drivers battling so hard that they bring more drivers in, or the battling just gets a little bit stagnant and allows everybody to catch up. As 2 drivers breaking away from that front pack, Dirk Braun and Antonio Reese. The pit stops continuing, as I think there may have been an off-track excursion and most certainly a lockup involved, as I see a brown cloud of dust, try saying that 5 times fast, and a white cloud of smoke from a tire lockup.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. There is a little bit of leapfrogging you can do, but just generally when these guys start racing side by side through corners, they're doing a really good job of keeping the car off of each other. You know, they're not really beating and banging because, once again, you can take a little bit, but you don't want to give it a whole lot, as we see Dirk Braun coming out of the pits there in amongst that group of cars that went by. That Samoa's in green, as well as I think that was Rubrook as well, sitting there. Running now in 15th, as they just slow each other down because they're trying to keep themselves off each other. Neither one are really running the proper racing line, so they're just not running the fast way around the track, and that gives that group behind a chance to just gather up. And plus, you got basically an extra wide draft, extra wide hole they're blowing in the air there to allow those cars to make up time behind, and it keeps that racing really close as we're now we're down to 4 cars in that lead group with Chris, Monty, Russell, and Kevin Adrian, that 4-car pack. And then Montgomery is starting to close the gap a little bit, down to about 2.6, 2.7. So as Jorg Monty decides to come in the pits, and he manages to get in safely and under the speed limit, so he's going to be able to take his stop.
And now I gotta say, comparing this to the last time that we had a Runoffs event, because this will be another test of my memory. I think the last time we were running at Charlotte, if my memory serves me correctly, that was the day that my graphics card got fried, because I had to produce and commentate on XSLR later on that evening, as I will be doing here tonight. And that I remember distinctly. That was at Charlotte on the oval that we were running the spec race for Fords, and even then, lots of racers were just getting the pit stop, and not even the pit stop, just the run down pit lane early. You can get away with just trundling your way down to the pits, not actually stopping in the pit stall, and that could work. You just need to go down pit lane, wave hi to your mechanic, say hi to your crew chief. I don't know, give the finger to the flag man, whatever you want to do. As long as you come down pit lane at some point, it will count.
And that seems to be what the vast majority of the drivers are doing. It looks like that everybody is just coming in and taking the drive through. They got enough fuel to get to the end of the race, they feel like, and so that'll be interesting. So obviously, if you're outrunning in the front, I don't know how much leeway these cars have in order to get this race done on the fuel they're carrying. So that'll be maybe a very interesting proposition there in the last couple of laps of this race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
And more drivers coming down pit lane. Vesselin, Gorson, and Simpkins, the Dutch trio coming into the pits. They were joined in the pits by the Canadian of Kevin Adrian, but he's picked up a black flag as a result of that run through the pits. So that's probably going to be the last that we see of Kevin Adrian here in this event in terms of contending for a top spot. Unfortunate. And we'll say, off the back of mentioning Kevin Adrian, I won't mention his sparring partner in the Spec 2 category throughout the Formula Ford season. Dmitry Lukinov not here. A little bit disappointing. Hope to see him back out there on the racetrack come time for the start of season 1 of 2026. As heroes a moment from Adrian trying to drop the anchors, and yeah, probably a speeding penalty.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened there. So tough break for Adrian. I was going to take him out of contention for an excellent finish there. We're seeing the battle now with Justice and Montgomery, and Montgomery said, "You know what, Josh, you can go ahead and lead." Josh has been doing a good job of just basically bump drafting on the straightaways and pushing him forward. But I think Montgomery has said, "You know what, I'll let you go ahead and go this time, and I'll see if I can draft off you for a while." Ooh, and now we're in the pits. So Justice and Montgomery in the pits along with Scott Russell, Chris Montgomery down with Zach, and Steve Saunders inherits the race lead. Halliburton and Love also staying out there. So we've got only about 3 cars that have yet to come down pit lane. And you see Justice and Montgomery. Is Scott Russell actually stopping for just briefly. As Justice and Montgomery just drive through, and so they're going to get back out there just in front of Alexander Gorson. So Josh is going to continue to stay there in P10. Gorson running right behind, as well as Thadro, Montgomery, and then Russell down in 14th. As we are still kind of looking at this battle here between Hugh Simpkins. You see 377 car there. With right behind Michelle Lynn, Phil Berry in the Cookie Monster car, which I don't think he's running that livery. I think he's running a different livery today. So he's got Big Bird. He's got the Sesame Street livery today. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a Christmas themed livery there. But also see Kurt Nunez back there as well. As we're still looking at those front 3 cars and waiting for them to come down pit lane. And we're only at the 17-minute mark. This is kind of bizarre that everybody's getting this done and over with as now Saunders comes in. We haven't even hit halfway yet.
Yes, so Saunders now coming into the pits. Kate and Halliburton currently have 29 spots from where he started in this race. If Kate Halliburton wins this race, I'll eat my shoe. That is madness for him to make his way up the field that quickly. Yeah, I may have potentially doomed myself. I will also say, looking at that car of Phil Berry with, I think Elmo is also on that car as well, as that's Hugh Simpkins running off the track, heading out of the final corner. 3 wide racing going to develop as they head their way down the start-finish straightaway into turn number 1. 3 wide in the V's may have worked. 3 wide in the SRFs doesn't work out too well. I think Phil Berry knows that. He let out big time, doesn't want to get involved in all of that. So Big Bird letting off the gas. There are many times late at night, all by myself, where I think about what would have happened if NASA's original plan came true and they put Big Bird on Challenger instead of Kristen McCullough. It's thoughts like this which has kept me out of the very good schools.
Okay. So I did see Rubrook come into the pits, and looks like he got the black flag for speeding, so he's going to have to make his stop, and so he's going to get punished for the pit road infraction there, as Halliburton has now taken the lead over Love. Love doing a good job there of just kind of hanging on to the back, and that's a good way to do it. It's just draft off one of the fastest guys on the track in Halliburton, and we'll see where these guys come in toward the end of the race. It looks like apparently they can make it on fuel, so they can, theoretically come in on the final lap and just keep going out there. But I don't know if that's going to be the right strategy. Running out there by themselves with you got this Samoa's Reese Green, Monty Braun, and Chris running there in that first real big pack of cars that have already pitted.
Yeah, I also just realized that Antonio's his paint scheme has a photo of him on the back of the car. I also realized that his photo has himself dressed up as Bond wearing the VR headset. I only just noticed that. Now, it's probably been shown on this show already, but I just have the ability to register things of a goldfish. So that's probably been the case all day, and most certainly has, but I'm only just now noticing it. I gotta say that is an absolutely amazing touch. Looking at Kane Halliburton right now, the number 12. Of course, I've seen that photo of him. He's currently running smooth out there now in the race lead. So after starting all the way at the back, he's now all the way at the front.
Yep, that is double Otonio, by the way, and that's how it's pronounced. As he's seemingly changing every season, there's something new. Something exciting from Antonio. It's fun as we see now Halliburton coming into the pits for his stop. That leaves Andrew Love out there with as the last car to come down pit road.
Yeah, so Andrew Love running all by his lonesome with the green instead of the yellow. I kind of like that paint scheme. I don't think we'll be seeing it often. I don't think we'll be seeing it again, but it's good to have a little one-off here for Christmas. We've had some very nice looking paint schemes out there on the racetrack throughout the day. I don't think Kane Halliburton is running anything Christmassy unless there's a small little like red Christmas bow tied to one of the Alameda Racing Academy logos on that race car. But he exits out in P13, the lucky number P13 in that number 12 car after trundling his way down in through pit lane, 26.9 seconds down in the pits from cone to cone. Still waiting for Andrew Love and Jeffrey Adkins to come down in the pit, and then after that we'll have a pretty good idea as to who's going to be contending for the W.
Yeah, it seems like that as of right now we're looking at our lead group here with Samoa's Reese Green, Monty Braun, and Chris in that 6-car pack. We're just waiting on excuse me, Andrew Love to come in and serve his stop or drive through, depending on what he decides to do.
That nearly ended in tears with Reese and Samoa side by side through the final corner. I thought Reese was going to clip the dirt and half spin into Felix, and it was going to wipe out that whole pack. Look at that train of cars. That is madness. Everybody dicing around for spots, trying to gain anything that they can. Vestelin and Monty going to swap spots there for P5 at the current moment. Tracks out to P4 once Andrew Love makes that call to come down pit lane. In all of this leapfrog, they are gaining on Andrew Love, who has absolutely no draft assistance. He is running all by his lonesome at the front of the field. Probably the only car out there on the racetrack that has any source of calmness on the circuit.
Yeah. Indeed, that is true, as we see, and he doesn't really have any lap traffic around to help him out either. So he's just out there on his own, running his laps and losing a little bit of time, about half a second or so over the last couple of laps. So he's, he'll come in short order as these cars keep getting a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker as we go. He will have to come in and get that drive-through done. I would think I would do it sooner rather than later. I think I'd go ahead and get it out of the way and get back in the pack and start doing some racing and pick up a few spots if you can.
So we ride on board with the number 29 of Chris Vestelin. He goes for the move on Antonio Reese and now has Felix Samoas right in front. Andrew Love now breaks away to come down pit lane. 23 minutes on the clock of this 40-minute long race to round off the day's action as Vestelin runs very wide, heading out of the final corner. Still within striking distance of Samoas. Will he go for the move? He will go for the move. Look at Antonio Reese. He's going to remain there on the line. He's going to be right in tow of Felix, as that right there is a move, a nice move there from Vestelin, the number 29 machine. That was slick.
Yeah, great move there by Chris to get that move made, and he's going to inherit the racing lead and with obviously some heavy hitters in this group. So it's this is not a foregone conclusion with still 16 minutes or so left in this race. He's got his work cut out for him. I think that I would rather be probably sitting third in line as we get a little bit closer to the end of this race. I think that's going to be your sweet spot there for getting that run down at the end. So we'll see what happens as we got that second group also. Chris Montgomery, Gorson, Justice, Sadro, Halliburton, and Saunders. Halliburton running in 11th after his stop. He's right in that group. He's going to have to work hard to make it through. There's some really quick racers in here. So he's going to have to, he's got to be patient as he can to work his way through this field or through this group of cars. You can see it already starting to look to find where the best place is going to be to make the pass.
Yeah, that is the debate that's going on in everybody's head, trying to figure out where is the spot to get the move done. Do you want to do it for drafting? Do you want to do it in a heavy braking zone? And if you want to do it in a heavy braking zone, which one of the one can you actually make it stick at? Yeah, I say that. I think turn one's a good spot to maybe get a move done. We'll see how hard the drivers have to drop the anchors. It's a little tap of the brakes, but on this racetrack, that is a huge slam on the brakes moment, because everywhere else, you're either just giving it a small little chicken's lift of the throttle, you're just going flat out all the time. There's really no in between.
Yeah, exactly right. Is a pretty fast track for these cars. They're pretty much flat out the entire way as we see this battle still continuing on. Did see that Gorson has jumped to the lead of that second group. Montgomery came with him. Justice has dropped down to P9. Halliburton now up to 10th with the pass of Sadro. And now Steve Saunders is in that group as well. So another 6-car group there with Scott Russell in 13th, closing that gap down, and he's bringing Cathcart, Love, and Witzak with him. So that's about to be a very, very large, about 10-car pack running there in the second pack of the race.
As we continue to see the fighting between Reese and Samoa, as I flashed my mind back to a year ago here with the Runoffs. It was when we were running last year's Christmas special, running in the UK Tour. The Spec Racer Fords made their inaugural appearance at Thruxton, a track that I feel like is the UK version of this. Not a lot of heavy braking zones, not a lot of slow turns. You do have a couple of sections every now and then, but for the most part, it is flat out racing. Doesn't matter what kind of car you're running at, it's always going to be a draft game. It certainly is here in the Spec Racer Fords, as near disaster between Atkins and Adrian off through turn number 1 and turn number 9, I should say. They're going to be 4 wide as they head their way on the start-finish straightaway now into turn number 1. Who's going to win out this fight? Looks like Phil Berry in that Sesame Street themed Cookie Monster machine will be able to jump into that spot as contact made a little bit farther behind. They keep going in a straight line out of 1, but it was not fully clean.
No, it wasn't. It was a pretty tight battle there. They were 3 wide going into 1, but everybody's still racing, so that's what we want to see. Is we now get a little bit of a gap there between Sadro and Saunders. They're running in P10 between P10 and P11, so the gap has kind of broken that group up again just a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, it's still early, and you see Russell looking to move around and take over that position. Over Saunders there to take over P11, and he'll see if he can bring those cars back, as now Halliburton is at the front of this group, and so he'll be dragging these cars around, see if they can make up the gap up to the front 6. 8.5 seconds is a pretty big gap, but they've still got about 12.5 minutes, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. Obviously, Halliburton extremely fast in his car, and Justice plays the team game well, as you can see. There's a little bump drafting going on there headed down the front straight, so he's going to give Halliburton as big a push as he can.
If there's anybody in this field that knows what you need to do to win a draft heavy race, or at least do well in a draft heavy race, it's Josh Justice. We saw it not too long ago here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, one of the first races of the Ray Esports Club Racing League in the 2025-26 tour that continues on here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Whenever the action's on, it's on Wednesdays here on SMB. But Josh was actually the beneficiary of a coming together right towards the end of that race in the V's. It was at Road Atlanta when that took place, and it was a pretty hectic end, and Josh Justice said, "Thank you very much, I'll take that." I was able to grab the victory. That was actually such an exciting finish that got clipped off into a YouTube short and may very well find itself on my 2025 broadcasting demo reel because it was that exciting. As you can see with the message on screen, though, next up on Slow Motion Broadcasting, we have the action from the Sim Races Group F4 Championship. Round number 1 of the season will be coming to you on Tuesday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:45 Pacific at Slaven. That'll be a fun race to look forward to with the F4s as that series rings in the new year. It's basically iRacing New Year's at this point, considering that the 2026 season is starting up just tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the beginning of 2026 as far as iRacing is concerned, and so we're looking for the new circuits will be coming out. Obviously, there's a couple of new ones that we picked up this season. I'm sure they'll get a lot of play. I've already seen some of the streamers running the Miami circuit, the F1 circuit, as well as the Adelaide Street circuit, which looks like just a monster. I mean, it looks like it's going to be great for some of our open wheel action that we'll have during the course of the year. I hope it makes it to the calendar because I think that'll be a really good race around Adelaide. It's a very, very fun looking track.
And actually, that reminds me, before we get this broadcast fully done and dusted here today, and I give myself a little bit of rest before XSLR a little bit later on tonight, I want to go through the upcoming season calendar because we have a whole lot of action to look forward to. It's going to be super duper fun as we switch our attention into season 1 of 2026 in the Weekend Warriors world. We'll be able to run through the Formula V, Formula Ford, and Spec Race Ford schedule because believe me, folks, it's got a rather intriguing set of racetracks that we will be racing at, and some ones that you may know for being known for rookie racing. Oh, we'll touch on that a little bit later on. In the meantime, though, side-by-side battling still going on between Reese and Verstappen heading down into turn number 1. Reese trying to win this race. It's mainly been Weekend Warrior stalwarts grabbing the W's here today. Jason Green winning in the Formula Fords a little bit earlier on today in the last race that we had before this one. Of course, in that Formula V race that we had to kick the day off, Jason Green was able to grab the W in that as well. Here, however, it looks like Vestelin, the debut racer, really giving a challenge to Reese.
Yeah, you see he had a really good run up the hill there. I don't know if Reese got bound up on the inside, but Chris was able to just get a good run up and now maybe carried a little too much speed, got wide, and that's going to give Jason or Samoa's, is that him off? I saw somebody off back there. Oh, no, that was Chris off the track. So obviously getting way too wide, getting off in the grass or off in the dirt and losing the car. So that's going to bring that lead group down to a 5 tough break for Chris. As we see now, we did hear Kevin Adrian also off the track has dropped down to P19. So just a tough break, and we're going to do a replay here as we're on board as he's coming down the mountain. And you see just the car getting a little bit loose there. He tried to catch it, maybe contact to the back. I don't know, it kind of looked weird from that angle. So maybe got a small tap as he was trying to gather the car up on the outside. But you see we're going to get on the replay from the high side, see if there was contact made there. As you see him just catching it, and nope, no contact. All was clean. And Chris just losing the car, but he's rejoined. He's down in that second pack now as we see Adrian way on the inside there coming up the mountain. And then contact with one of those Freca cars. We could not tell who it was. Might have been Simpkins or might have been Gorston. So we'll see. Yeah, Simpkins indeed. And yeah, just contact made as Adrian was trying to get the car collected. So that's going to drop him way down the order as well. So back up to a 5-car group or 5-car pack at the front. Do have a car back there, and the gap is starting to close. So under 6 seconds now for that second pack that contains Halliburton, Sadro, Chris, and Gorson. Josh Justice and Andrew Love have kind of dropped off that just a bit. So 5 cars in front, 4 cars chasing.
And I'm going to immediately issue a wholehearted apology to Chris Verstappen because that may have been the worst commentator jinx that I've ever given in my entire life. So if you would like my job here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, why not write to us at, hey, I can pull off a commentator's jinx too. Felix Samoa is now jumping up into that top spot over Monty, but Monty got to fight back. Now he's stuck on the outside through 2, and he's got some company on the inside of him. It's his old sparring partner of Antonio Reese running right in tow, keeping all these racers honest. You know how I said that it was a matter of weekend warriors stalwarts running good and Jason Green grabbing the 2 race wins thus far? Well, he's in 4th, and I think he has a darn good shot to get the W once again.
Yeah, you know, I would not want to be leading at this point of the race. It's too easy for these cars to make their moves around coming out of that final corner down the straightaway. Just too easy to get caught up and get past, as we've seen over the course of the race with people making moves in turn 1. And they don't have to get all the way by you in front. They just have to have the nose of front when you cross the start-finish line, as we've seen already today in the Formula V's. So here we go with about 5.5 minutes left to go. So probably about 4 laps as we get a little bit closer. Probably, I'm going to guess 3 at the line. We'll see what we get here, but you see 5 cars, and this may be 5 wide when we get to the finish line. So you just never can tell. But these cars aren't giving up, and you see the move made there by Jorg Monty to take the lead over Samoa's, and then immediately running wide coming out of 1, gets it gathered back up and settles back in, and Samoa's very happily just to allow him to stay out in front.
Yes, a little bit of pseudo teamwork going on there, a bit of leniency being given after that running wide moment heading out of turn number 1. Turn 1 seems to be the real trouble spot, Castrol Corner that they call it, and the curb on the inside proving to be a bit of a lethal one, as it was nearly the curb on the inside. Turn number 4 that caught at Jorg Monty ran very deep on the exit at turn number 3. He keeps it going in a straight line. That could very easily... I have not seen a driver ever flip off one of the curbs here at this racetrack, but I can't necessarily rule it out, as Felix Samoa was just going to jump in front of Jorg Monty for that top spot, and Monty now dropping down behind Reese.
Yep, still battling up here at the front as Reese running around the wide side there through 8 and into 9. Just trying to keep the momentum up, and you see gets a good run, tucks it down inside, going to try and get that move done as he gets a good draft out of the corner there behind Samoa's, but he's in front of Monty now, and Monty's looking to the inside as you see that car that's in P3. It just seems like he gets a good run, but maybe not enough. It's not enough to get back in. It's enough to eventually get back in the lead, but not enough to be in the lead before you get to start-finish line. So this may be the second place guy having the advantage here. And now we see the gap. Yeah, now we see the gap of Kane Halliburton's now down to 3.3. So this might not be over. This might end up being an 8-car group here before it's done. Ron, you might want to get those shoes heated up, buddy.
Oh, boy. See, thankfully, I was going to say, thankfully, I've got my old racing shoes that don't fit me anymore, but those are my old racing shoes. I'm not sure if I would even want to be within 5 feet of those. Jorg Monty still holding on to the race lead. This may be the first time that I've ever rooted against a driver just because I don't want to eat my old racing shoes. Mr. Wilkie can attest to this in the production hauler. This was about a year and some change ago. It was him and I doing a broadcast of a GT3 race at Montreal, and a driver pulled off this insane strategy. It was usually just like one-stop strategies that you'd see in this series. Actually, no, it was usually 2 stops. He decided to pull off a 1-stop, and I said outright that if the driver won, I would eat a Post-it note, and the driver won. So I recorded myself eating a Post-it note as we were getting the results taken care of. So that's... I am a man of my word, even if it results in me picking up a bad case of botulism.
Yeah, absolutely. Athlete's tongue. As we're watching this group now, 2.5 seconds, Kane is doing everything he can to get up there and make Ron eat his words. As we're about 2 laps to go, I think we may be, 2 laps at the line. I think he's going to be right up in that group. Now, whether he can win or not, obviously, you've got 5 very, very accomplished racing drivers up there in that lead group. So it's not necessarily a done deal that if Kane can manage to get up to that group, that he's going to win the race. But it's going to make things very interesting. And Ron, even though it's 20 degrees outside, Ron will be sweating these last 2 laps.
Yeah, that is most certainly the case. It's so funny. It's 20 degrees outside. I still have my vent blocked just because my computer is more of a space heater instead of a PC. But with time running out, the white flag going to be in the air. One more lap of racing action here for the 47th vRunoffs here on slow motion broadcasting. A 2.7 second gap means that Kane Halliburton will have to hope for a miracle. And with his driver right behind him of Chris Vesselin coming down in the pits with a black flag, I think Halliburton may not be able to get the W unless some chicanery goes on here at the top end of the pack, which I can't rule out either. Close quarter stuff, nearly ending in disaster. Monty and Reese chasing each other's tails out of the first turn. That's going to allow Jason Green to build up a 3.5 of a second cushion as they head their way through Rabbit's Ear, turn number 2 for the final time. Running wide in the back is Dirk Braun. He's trying to find any way in the book to jump his way up into this fight, currently holding on to the final spot of this train. P5 at the moment, but that could very well turn into the race lead in the blink of an eye. Heading their way out of 4. This is pretty much the last acceleration opportunity before they make the almost completely flat out run into the final turn. Bit of a tap of the brakes through 5. I think Jason Green did not get a great exit there, but he still holds on to a comfortable margin. But with the drafting these spec racer forwards, that will disappear. The gap closes up, closing. Felix Mo is going to try and find a way to get past. He may be stuck on the outside. Jason Green covers on the inside through the sweeper for the final time. I don't think Felix is playing ball. I think he's timing it out to try and get a run out of the final turn. Meanwhile, side by side, nearly 3 wide action right behind. I'm not sure if this is going to be a fight between all of the top 5. It may just come down to these top 2. Jason Green with that gap closing up as a line closes into view. Jason Green pulls off the triple here in the 47th Runoffs.
Wow, great race. And just you could just see Jason played it perfectly there, kept his run going, and just got enough of a gap there at the beginning of the lap. 0.3 of a second was all he needed to hold off Samoa's Monty, Reese, and Braun. All those cars finished within a half second of each other at the end of the race. Halliburton, great race, ended up 2.5 seconds back, finishing in 6th. Ron's shoes are safe. Gorson finishing in 7th. Sadro 8th. Justice Knight, Stallers rounds out your top 10. So great drive by everybody, and we see some late race black flags. Hugh Simpkins, Stevie Ray, which is obviously detrimental because you can't work that black flag off at the end. So you're going to get a 40-second time penalty added to the end of the race. So that'll jockey up our orders just a little bit there. So we'll have to wait for our final official results to tell you where everybody finished tonight.
Yeah, I'll say this, and this is honest. I think the first time on iRacing broadcast where somebody has woohooed about not eating a shoe has now just gone on. That's Guido. He ends up parked next to the honey bucket. That's not ideal. But he managed to keep it on all 4s. He's broken pretty much every single wheel off that car, though, so it's pretty much just been reduced into the worst ever Pinewood Derby car you ever have seen.
Yeah, that was, as we see Stevie Ray here, coming up the mountain, up to the balcony, just running a little wide there, and that was enough. And that was the straw that broke the Barney's back there, and that's a black flag. Unfortunate for Stevie to get on the final lap. So great run. Once again, another great race. I was kind of thinking it might be a little bit closer, but once again, 5 really, really good drivers up at the front of the field, and they did Jason did exactly what he needed to do to keep all the other 4 behind him to cap off that race. So well done to Jason Green. And of course, this being spec racers, we're going to destroy the cars at the end of the event.
As we see the burn it down wreckfest going on, Jason Green popping a wheel. It looked like one of those Cadillacs with the air suspension in the front where it just pops it up. I mean, we were kind of close to LA here, certainly closer to LA than I am to LA, but that's we'll mark it off as a good metaphor in my book here. So let's take a look at Kevin Ager in this slow-mo shot here on slow motion broadcasting. There's the hop, there's the skip, there's the jump, and he's going to pile it into the hill. Oh my goodness, that is almost majestic. But almost in the sense that if that happened in real life, you'd probably see how... I think these drivers would have such bad whiplash, they'd probably be able to look up their own butt.
Ooh! The porta potty has suffered a catastrophic failure there, and so is Jason Grider's car. Unfortunately, yeah, very strong porta potty. Feel sorry for the person who's in it. Brad Cathcart here with the run as we see as the cars are being destroyed here at the end of the race as usual, and just nosed over and jumps the porta potty and then out of here he goes. So standard fare for the weekend warriors, especially the spec racers. They do this week in and week out. It's always fun to watch and get a chuckle as they find new and exciting ways of destroying their equipment.
So we're going to see Alexander Gorson. Oh, and did he ballpark it? Survey says he did not. That whimsy, I nearly said whimsy fence. That's not the phrase that I'm looking for. The wimpy fence there on the outside was able to work out well and contain a spec racer Ford. I want to get in contact with the engineer who designed that because that looks like the strongest wire wick fence I've ever seen in my entire life. Let's take a look at the results here, though, at the end of the third and final race of the day. We've had a lot of fun here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and Jason Green has got a lot of hardware. Pulls off the triple, one in the Vs, one in the FFs, and he wins in the Spec Racer Fords as well. Felix Smo is going to finish right behind him, P2. Jörg Monty going to come across the line, rounding at your podium in third, with Antonio Reese in fourth, Dirk Braun in fifth, Kane Halliburton in P6, Alexander Gorson in seventh, Dan Sadro in P8, Joshua Justice in ninth, with Steve Saunders rounding at your top 10.
Yeah, Dan Wetsack finishing in 11th. Chris Montgomery finishes in 12th. 13th is Andrew Love. Brad Cathcart finishing in 14th. Chris, I'm still not even going to get it. Sorry, Chris. Finishes 15th. Phil Berry 16th. Kurt Nunez 17th. Kevin Adrian finishing in 18th. Jason Grider finishes 19th. Michelle Lynn 20th. Guido Marzuki finishing in 21st. 22nd is Jeffrey Atkins. Hugh Simpkins finishes in 23rd. Stevie Ray 24th. Paul Jackson first car lap down in 25th. Arturo Lorero finishing in 26th. Chris Murakami 27th. Scott Russell finishes in 28th. Michael Nelson finished 29th. Maxime Rubrook finishing in 30th. And Rich Meesters rounds out your 31 car finishing order. But another great race and another way to cap off a fantastic season of Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, what a way to end a rather historic season in the Weekend Warriors world and ring in what is going to be a brand new adventure come time for the start of season 1. We do have some interviews though that we want to get to, and we've got a pretty good selection of drivers looking to have a chat. So I think I'll drag in our 3-time race winner here, Jason Green, about to join us here on the broadcast booth. I want to ask him which race was the most horrifying. Jason Green, welcome into the broadcast booth. Congratulations on pulling off the triple. How was it at there here at Willow Springs?
Yeah, it was well, I obviously had a lot of fun. Got super lucky in the first 2 races to end up in first, and then pretty stoked about the SRF as well. I just put myself in the right spots, and I mean it's a draft track, so there's a lot of luck involved, but you still got to put yourself in the right place at the right time, and then hope everything kind of works out. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun out there on the racetrack, but I did promise I was going to ask you this question, so I'll ask it now. Which of the 3 races was probably the scariest today?
Probably the beginning of the Formula V, and then the SRF race, probably the entire SRF race.
See, I was thinking that the Formula Vs would be a bit more tempered down compared to the Spec Racer Fords, at least when it came to the draft. It looked like the draft was insane in the Vs, but I think it's just higher stakes in the Spec Racer Fords, considering the cars are bigger and the speeds are a little bit slower in the Vs than they are in the SRFs. But interesting to get your perspective as to how the nerves were throughout the day. But pretty darn good day for you, obviously, getting the 3 wins, and overall pretty all right season for you in the Weekend Warriors too. Want to ask you though about the start of season 1 of 2026 coming up. Still going to be running in the SRFs only, or are we maybe going to see a return to the FFs or the FVs?
Yeah, probably just gonna run the SRFs, and I'm hyped for week 1 at Red Skogan. Probably my favorite track in iRacing, so super happy we're leading off with that.
I think Charles is going to be quite happy about the fact that we're going to be kicking off the year of 2026 with Barber. That's going to be pretty fun. And I also see my beloved Legacy Phoenix, the Legacy Phoenix road course with asphalt about as patchy as my face when I was 16 out there. That's going to be super fun. But Jason, as per usual, let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate.
Yeah, shout out to Stevie as always for putting together these leagues and leading us. We wouldn't have these leagues without him. So he does an awesome job as always. Shout out to all the new people and returning people for all 3 leagues. As Stevie always says, the leagues wouldn't be anything without everybody showing up every week. So yeah, we got a great turnout this week or today, and as well as all last season. We had a lot of people showing up. I think one race we had almost 50. So yeah, it was a great season, and I'm looking forward to next season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Some absolutely amazing tracks to look forward to for the Spec Racer Forwards and the Weekend Warriors as a whole. And looking forward to seeing you contend for a Spec Racer Forward Championship as usual. Jason, thank you for joining us in the booth, and congratulations on the triple.
Thanks, y'all.
And that right there was Jason Green, your winner in the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and the Spec Racer Fords. And one driver, it did pretty all right in them as well, is Jörg Mani. And Charles, I'll let you have the chat with Jörg because he is always a card to interview.
Yeah, let's bring Jörg in and have a chat with him. Jörg, P3 in the Spec Racer race today. I don't think you got quite as lucky in the first 2 races, but overall, how was your experience here at lovely Willow Springs?
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Yeah, we do appreciate Christmas paints, that's for sure.
It was actually fun. It was fun. I had nothing to expect. I was driving my Christmas livery that Antonio made again because I was asking him, and I really had fun. The V was kind of scary because I haven't driven one single lap with the V the whole season, so I was still fun, but the start was not really good, but so what? It's a fun race. But the Formula Ford, again, pit stop, Jason, quicker, okay, I have to accept that. And the Spec Ford was quite thrilling as well, so, but the Formula Ford is really my favorite car, definitely.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, I was going to mention that, we just finished the Spec Racer race here, and you were in a position, in a pretty good spot to make a run, but Jason just had that car dialed in perfectly and ran the exact line and got enough gap at the early part of that last lap to hold you guys off. Because I was thinking that we'd been pretty close, and we may see 2 or 3 wide there at the finish, but Jason did a great job of just keeping the pace up and not allowing you guys to get a run.
Yeah, actually he did a fantastic job, and I made a slight little mistake on the last corner, so I could have a run on Felix anymore. Even Jason tried to give me some draft, but it was too late already. So, but it's a fun race. It's great.
Yeah. So I know we've seen you, and you've you were a pretty much every week both cars as far as the Sunday Weekend Warriors, and then you've kind of dialed it back with changes in the life, which everybody is appreciates, and you want to have that good balance of spending time with family and friends, as well as having your racing. So what should we expect from Jörg Mani next season? We're going to go Formula Ford pretty much full season, or it's just going to be as you can?
As I can, actually. It depends the next few weeks what's going to happen with my mom. So it depends on that. But I'm trying to do the whole season with at least the Formula Ford, and possibly with the Spec Racer Ford as well, but only if I can.
Yeah, understood. Well, Jörg, thanks for stopping into the booth to cap off this season, and we'll let you obviously give any thanks or shout outs that you would like to do before we let you go.
To all the guys, this was a fantastic season. Thanks a lot for racing and for having me as well. Thanks a lot for Stevie. and for all our sponsors, private or companies. It was a fantastic season, and I really like the Weekend Warriors. It's absolute fun.
All right, York, thank you very much, and we'll see you the next time we see you on track. We'll hopefully we'll be looking to see you maybe making it back into the interview room again as we start
let's see.
Season off. Yeah,
let's see.
You may have to wreck Antonio a couple of times just to keep Guido happy.
Why? I'm not wrecking anybody, especially not Antonio.
Fair enough, York. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, guys. Thanks, though. Bye-bye.
And that right there was Yurgmani. That's very much so a reference for us here in the broadcast booth. But Charles, an absolutely awesome day and an absolutely awesome season. Do want to quickly touch Stevie. Want to wrap things brief, so he just wanted to say to pass his thanks off to all of you either tuning into this, everybody involved with the league. It's always been my privilege to be on these shows, and just a pretty fun day here on the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Always enjoy the runoffs. We always get some new drivers in who jump into the big grid, and we had some really good racing as always. And I would reiterate what York said. Thanks to the admins, Stevie and Jason and Jim and Michelle, and everybody else, and Aaron who does the points, and everybody else involved, and all the sponsors, the people, not just the companies, but the drivers that pull money out of their own pocket to sponsor these races, to get them broadcast, and it's just great, and it just shows you what kind of community this group is, and so yeah, looking forward to a great next season for 2026 season 1.
And of course, we will be back on the air for the Weekend Warriors next Saturday and Sunday. I will not be here for the Formula V race, have some personal matters going on that day. However, I will be in the booth for the Formula Ford and the Spec Racer Ford season openers. The FVs are going to be running at Summit Point, the FFs are going to be running at Snetterton, and the Spec Racer Fords are going to be running at Rudskogen. I nearly said Snarton again. Nope, that's a track for the Formula Fords. The Formula 4s, meanwhile, for the Sim Racers Group series are going to be running at Oschersleben. XMS is going to be running the final round of the Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course, with Sim Racers Group F3 action being at VIR. So a lot of actions to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you a good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the action. It's once again been a treat to be here on the air, and stay tuned here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, specifically on Friday nights, because we may have a treat coming your way as we round out 2025 and head off into 2026. But for myself, Ron Mons, Charles Bochelle joining me in the commentary booth, and Joshua Wilkie doing a fantastic job working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.